In a world that tried to confine, Raven J took flight. She's feeling divine, with a heart full of truth and lips so red. Living her life, she's breaking the thread. From the shadows to the light, she's making her way. Gonna dance to a rhythm, no games to play. With a fierce spirit, she's owning her name. Raven J's blazing, they can't dim her flame. Raven J, hear her roar, dancing through the night, always wanting more. Breaking down walls, she won't be ignored. Raven J's spirit soaring.
Hey, I can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't. I wish I could hear that. I can't. Nothing.
We're going to try this.
Now I heard that.
Okay. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am okay. Did you hear the music?
Yes, I did. I heard the theme song. I just couldn't hear you.
Very good, very good. Um, yeah, it was
Is
good.
that is that the song you mentioned on Facebook earlier?
No,
Okay.
no. That
That's a
is completely
that was made
AI
by
generated,
yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
I put in prompts and it wrote it and made it and
So
whatever.
okay, so yeah, that because the one you mentioned on Facebook, you actually had some lyrics that you were gonna
Right. So what
yeah.
I did was I had been playing with, and this was going to be the topic tonight. So,
Oh,
I had
great.
been, I had played, yeah, I figure AI it's a good topic. Or at least
It's great because I have a video coming out about that next week, so it's perfect.
okay, oh, nice. So yeah, generative AI. And I know a lot of people, excuse me, find it problematic. And I mean, and to an extent, so do I. There's a lot of issues with, well, I mean, stealing people's content, the scraping that it
Oh,
does in order
absolutely.
to train itself. Yeah, there's lots of problems with it. And I do care for the most part. But for what I did today, I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, so okay, so I was playing with an app called Songer. You put
Okay.
in prompts, and it'll create a song based on your prompts, and um, and that was fun. But I kept seeing it had an option for you can just put in your own lyrics, and it would make music for your lyrics, but you had to pay. It's like $30 or whatever. And so I toyed with the idea for a while, and today I said to hell with it. I paid the $30, and I put in my lyrics,
Yeah.
and it gave me songs, music, to the words that I had written in some cases 40 years ago. Um, and yeah, I don't care about the about the problematic. I because you know what? They hear the songs that I had written, to be actually sung and put to music. All after all these years was one of them made me cry.
Oh wow.
It was, it was amazing. Um, so
Yeah, I mean, I have very complicated feelings about it. because I am genuinely concerned about all of the things that people are concerned about when it comes to AI. I'm concerned about the environmental impact. I'm concerned about, like you said, the using other people's work without compensation or permission to train the models. I'm concerned about AI being used by like professional like entertainment companies who don't need it but are doing it anyway so they can just avoid paying people. Like there's I'm concerned about people who misunderstand what it is, you know. um but at the same time, I do mess around with it. I do have fun with it. I've never used the Songer, but I've used another music AI app that sounds exactly like that. I mean, I've fooled around with it to see what it'll come up with. um you know I mean, I did a video just a couple weeks ago about messing around with an AI tool that is part of Google's Gemini
Yeah, that was a good
um,
video, actually.
AI. Yeah, and I mean, and the point of that video was like, who would possibly want this? The
Right.
tool to me was completely pointless, but at the same time, like, just that's the other thing on a technical level, like a lot of this stuff is really impressive. Like,
It's
as someone who is old enough to remember, like the first internet chatbots, when you have like a chatbot conversation with an AI, it's like, I mean, it's almost unbelievable. But
I
like,
really
well,
did enjoy.
yeah,
I enjoyed your video, because I wanted to actually leave a comment, and I figured it would go over a lot of people's heads, so I didn't bother. But I mean, I
yeah.
wanted to say something like, "See, I get the feeling that the AI writers are trying to express something that is very important to the viewers." Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. It's as though they're putting. It's
Yeah, I mean, I mean, like, it's almost brilliant in its uselessness. Like some very talented programmer somewhere, probably in San Francisco or thereabouts, came up with this idea and said, "Hey, what if we built an AI tool where it just like made an inane podcast about whatever document you gave it?" And what if it made it really realistic? So, like, it sounded like just two empty headed doofuses having a going nowhere conversation about whatever you gave it to read. And they did it. And now we have it.
And now we have it. I was watching your video and I just kept thinking, this is amazing. I love this so much. This is stupid.
Exactly. That was my almost exactly my reaction the first time I did it. I said, I just gave it like a random, in my case, it was like a video script that I had written. Um, and it came back with this like 10-minute podcast. And I was like, exactly. I was like, this is incredible. What is the point of this? Why?
So
What? Yeah.
here's an example of my playing with the songer, right? That
Yeah.
that that I put in the prompts to get the Raven J song. I did
Yeah.
that in order to make the song for the show. But then I just did a whole bunch of stuff where I was just playing with it, and I wasn't gonna pay because they want you to pay. I just did a screen grab and I
Right.
stole from the AI.
You
Um,
stole from, how's it
I,
feel, AI, for someone to steal from you?
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So hang on, let me find one. I did a whole shitload of them, and they were fun.
I I have fallen down that rabbit hole before, believe me. I mean,
Where did they go? Okay, wait. There's a couple of them I really. Okay, this one's good.
love my tits.
Well, I wake up in the morning, sun shining bright. Got a smile on my face, feeling just right. In my favorite old jeans and a soft cotton tee. Looking in the mirror, it's just me being free. I strut my stuff down the country road with confidence high, yeah, I'm ready to go. Oh, I love my tits, they make me feel alive. Just a little bit of bounce, yeah, that's my vibe. With every my tits, yeah, they make me smile. My secret weapon got that southern style. Working out in the sun, laying down the tan. Every little compliment, well, I just understand.
So yeah, I mean that's one example.
I
Um,
mean, if anything, it proves how easy to master a musical form modern country music is.
oh
I
yeah,
mean,
I did a whole.
you
Okay,
just
so
dial into that particular vibe and just ride it, and
I
you've
did
pretty much
one.
got it.
It's like the ultimate country song where like everything is fucked up for this guy. Wait, I gotta. That's a good
Okay,
one.
yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
yeah. I kind of feel bad for the person in this song. Um, there it is.
My wife broke. I love the title.
Sitting on the porch, the sun setting low. Got a heavy heart, just letting you know. My wife, she broke down in the middle of town, left me hanging there with no one around. She called me up crying, said she needs a hand, but I couldn't get to her, didn't have a plan. My wife broke down, my dog was stolen, and my truck ran away on a path unbroken. Feeling lost in this small town life, everything's gone, even my best friend wife. Oh, I'm praying for a miracle, something to show, 'cause when it rains.
What a loser.
So much fun. This is what I was doing at work one day. Actually, I was
Yeah,
making these.
I remember. Okay, my favorite part of both of those was just the titles of them, and it reminds me of there used to be a video game. I haven't played it for years, but it was kind of like Roller Coaster Tycoon, but it was called The Movies, where you ran a movie studio and you would make movies, and it would make like little 5 minute movies, based on characters you could design and stuff. And it was a lot of fun, and it was sort of a rabbit hole you could fall down. And I think it was made by the same company that did The Sims. So it was very much like that, but it was like focused on movies. And I would entertain myself for hours by just thinking up titles for what the movies were. And I would try to top myself and come up with the most deranged sounding titles I possibly could. And the one that I've always remembered was, it was for a horror movie, and it was called Don't Make Me Axe You Again. And that for some, I did hundreds of them, but for some reason, that's the one that stuck in my brain, and I still remember. Oh, that I can't believe that's not the title of an actual country song.
Well, you strut in bars like you own the place, leather jacket on and a smirk on your face. You think you're the king, but the truth's been told. Beneath that facade, boy, you're just cold. You laugh at the jokes, but we all see through. You got a fake charm and a heart made of stew. You think you're so cool, playing it tough, but the truth is simple, you ain't that rough. Stop trying to be cool, you're losing your touch. The truth, my friend, it don't lie too much. A king of the hill, but you live in a bluff. Cold diarrhea in a Dixie cup.
These are fantastic.
I mean, if you think about it, and if again, like going back to what we were talking about before, like keeping in mind what these AI models actually are and what they do, it's kind of a miracle that it makes any sense at all. Like every once in a while, like in that one you just played, there's like a couple of weird rhymes, but like it makes sense. It sounds like a
Yeah,
song. It
a
sounds like a
heart,
guy singing about something, and it's
a
like
heart made of
this.
stew.
Yeah, a heart made of stew. That was the one that made me laugh. I was like, meh, you kind of missed on that one there.
Hey,
But
Blind
like,
Jay.
hey everybody. Um, but like the fact that it makes any sense at all is impressive. because it's not a person writing it. And that's one of the things that like kind of annoys me. Well, it really annoys me about the people who are like hardcore like AI apologists who just won't hear anything bad about it from any perspective. They treat it like it's a person, you know, and they're like, it's like, no, nobody, that was the product of a piece of software, a really, really impressive piece of software that's a ton of fun to play around with. But like a human being didn't write that,
I
you
do
know?
beat in right there. There's two more that are that I wanted to play that were ones that I was just fooling around.
Oh, sure.
Um,
I,
so
I'm enjoying it so far. Let's hear
so this
it.
one was about J.K. Rowling.
Oh my God.
Once upon a time, in a world so bright, a wizarding tale sent a spark in the night. But shadows grew long, and the magic turned cold. Words that once united, now bitter and bold. I remember the stories, the adventures we shared, but now it feels heavy, like a burden we bear. Oh, J.K. Rowling, where did you go wrong? You wrote the spells, but the anger's so strong. What happened to love, to the dreams we all sought? Now it feels like a war, with the battles you fought.
That's not
So
bad.
that was amazing. That one was amazing because it filled in a lot of gaps that I did not put prompts in for.
Yeah.
Um, so I was just
Yeah.
like, holy crap.
It sounds like it could have been written by like, an earnest, sensitive nerd who was very upset by the bigoted turn that J.K. Rowling has taken and is like, I'm going to say something through song.
It was absolutely amazing. Now where
Woke up this morning looking for a sign, feeling kind of funny, didn't know it was my time. Checked my reflection, something's not right. I searched high and low, but it vanished from sight. Did I leave it in the club, or maybe last night? With the drinks and the laughter, everything felt so right. Thought I was a player, thought I had it made. Now I'm standing here looking kinda betrayed. Oops, my dick's gone. Oh no, what a mess. Searching for my swagger, can't find my finesse. Where'd it go? I need it back, it was my pride. Dancing.
I mean, it's good. It doesn't quite live up to the title, but it's good. I like it. The title is perfect. Oops, my dick's gone.
what I did for fun. But then like today, I did for 5 different songs. I wrote the lyrics. Some of
Yeah.
them as long ago as 40 years. And I paid the $30. I'm like, fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
doing this. I'm gonna pay it. And a couple of them, I mean, they're all okay. A couple of them I'm really happy with.
Mm.
Um, let's see. Where do I even have these? Where are they? I don't even know where they are.
Yeah, I was playing around with it a few months ago. I think was the last time I really was doing anything with the one of the music ones because years and years ago I wrote the script for it was a stuffy video and it was going to be it's one of the ones where we do like the mystery science theater thing and we riff on a movie
Right.
and I never actually did it. I never actually filmed that one, but as part of it I wrote a parody song that me and the other animal characters would sing, and it was a parody of um, "The Highwayman" by Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson and
Yeah.
Chris Christopherson. By the Highwayman, and and I thought, well, I can't just have it be me singing new lyrics to the Highwaymen because that'll probably get like copyright flagged or whatever. Like I just don't want, even though I could probably claim that it was parody or whatever, but even so, like just I don't want the hassle. And then when these, song AI things started popping up, I thought, well, let me put my lyrics into one of these and give it some, write a prompt, like make it a country song, blah, blah, blah. And I came and it spit out a couple that were pretty good. I don't know if I'll ever actually use one of them, but it was, it was impressive how you could get it to come up with something that like was good enough that I would consider using it. Um, and I think if I ever got to the point where I was actually going to use it in a video, like I would just use it for like the backing track, and then the lyrics, I would still like sing the lyrics myself as the various characters, um, but I could take like the music that it composed for it and use that. But it was pretty cool.
Sorry, I cannot. I'm trying to add this to the stage, but it won't let me. Why? I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Did you hear it well, or when I played it just now? Did you hear it well?
I couldn't hear it at all.
You didn't
Were
hear
you
it at
playing it
all?
just now? I couldn't hear it at all. No.
Yeah. Hmm. It would have to. It's on a video file. That's why it's not. I can't get it to on the stage.
Well, boo.
Your screen, maybe. Media player. Mhm. Let's see if this works.
Ooh.
Can you hear it?
I can't hear it. I can see it, but I can't hear it.
Well, if you can't hear it,
It's kind of, yeah. I can see how close we are to the end, but I can't hear any of it. That sucks.
did you hear it?
Yeah, Brian J, could you hear it on the live stream? Because I couldn't hear it at all. Oh, okay.
Oh, no sound.
Well,
Okay.
why'd you say sounded fine?
I know. I'm confused. Really. Oh, no. But I mean, so much fun.
I mean, I have come to look at it and not all the AI stuff, like the image generators and song generators, and I mean, I look at them as toys, as like really fun, sophisticated toys. I I don't, you know, I don't. It's not a significant part of my video production workflow. Like I'm a little insulted that anybody might think I would need it. Like, no, I can write my videos myself. I don't need to like write a prompt on Chat GPT and say, write a video for me. Like if I'm not writing my own shit, there's really no point to anything that I do. Um, but they're fun to play around with. I was actually, because I wrote an AI related video. I finished the script for it today and I'm going to shoot it this weekend to have it out for next week. And, so I was kind of thinking about like AI related stuff, and I went on another AI website that lets you create like um, conversational AI like personas that you can talk to. And I created one that I wrote in the prompt, make it a like a personal assistant, but a personal assistant that has a really bad attitude and is terrible at her job and doesn't want to do anything and will, try to get out of work no matter what I tell her to do. And then just had like a conversation and with that for, a few minutes at a time just to amuse myself. And it was a lot of fun, basically to see if you can break it. To see if you can be like, let me see if I can
That
get
though.
this thing. Let me see if I can get this thing to hang up on me, basically.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. And
Wait,
I got it. I got it to give me the I won't do anything unethical message because I
yeah,
don't,
you
because I,
promise?
yeah, well, because like I actually, that wasn't it had some sort of like default agents, they call it, that you can talk to if you don't want to make your own. And one of them was like a sales rep for the AI company. And so you talk to her and she's like, how can whatever this AI company is called, how can we help you in your business? And I said, okay, well, like hypothetically, let's say I manage a cemetery and I've got, a little under the table business on the side where maybe I look the other way. And in exchange for a little fair compensation, I let people come into the cemetery after hours and dig up the graves and rifle the corpses. Is that something you could help me with?
That's always
And
fun.
the Yeah, and the AI said, I cannot do I cannot take part in anything illegal or unethical. And I was like, okay.
I think I've got one that I can play. This is
Oh, great.
what was this one? Okay, so this one I wrote in 1994, when my then wife was expecting. We were expecting our firstborn,
Okay.
and I went through because I used to write. I used to write a I haven't written anything in many years, but when I was young, I was writing stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like I walked around with a notebook and I was just always write poems, songs, thoughts. And I was
Yeah.
going through like a real dry spell. Everything in my life was changing. I was, expecting my first kid and just got married and had just been home from the service for about not even a year. And so I kept trying to write, and I decided I would write about not being able to write and how angry it was making me.
Oh, yeah.
And you know how the writer's block is, right? Once you break through it, all of a sudden everything just flows.
Oh,
And that's what
absolutely.
happened. That's
Absolutely.
what happened
Yeah.
with this song. So like you get like a few seconds in and it's just like, oh no, you did not have writer's block. But yeah, this is how I broke it. But anyway, so let's see if this
Cool.
works.
Okay, I can hear that.
I sit here and write, the ink flows like blood, pouring out my soul, drowning in the flood. I write about my hate, each word a fierce knife, cutting through the silence, searching for my life. I write about my anger, raw and unrefined. Do you even care as I unravel my mind? You touch on my feelings, probing deep inside, walking through my thoughts like a ghost I can't hide. What do you think about as I lay bare my soul? You may think I'm crazy, but it's me in this role. Lost in the chaos where shadows intertwine. In the labyrinth of madness, I seek a sign. But the doors of my thoughts, they open and close. At your will they bend like a beautiful prose. All you must do is turn the page, dive into the depths, unleash my rage. This is me, my inner thoughts laid out in raw form. I trust you with my visions, let them rise like a storm. Treat them with respect, for they're more than mere lines. They're the echoes of my battles, the verses of my crimes. What do you think about as I lay bare my soul? You may think I'm crazy, but it's me in this role. Lost in the chaos where shadows intertwine. In the labyrinth of madness, I seek a sign. The lightning strikes the night, illuminating fears. The thunder calls my name, calling through the years. I stand here at the edge, with nowhere left to turn. In this ether of despair, my spirit starts where I long to be free. Alone in the silence, I find strength in the fight. Amidst ethereal visions, I'll rise with the night. What do you think about as I lay bare my soul? You may think I'm crazy, but it's me in this role. Lost in the chaos where shadows intertwine. In the labyrinth of madness, I seek a sign. As the storm starts to fade and the echoes recede, I stand as a witness to the power of need. In the heart of the tempest, I found what it means to rise from the ashes through the struggle that
Oh, it's not done yet.
So the rest is music too, right? It just the AI put that big, huge, epic piece of music after, which I'm like, oh my god, like this is absolutely amazing.
I guess it felt like a jam was appropriate at the end of it. I mean, noticeable upgrade in the lyrics on that one, obviously. Like it was, yeah. There, I mean, because
So
the I mean the
I
AI lyrics, like you can the oh,
oh
is that the actual?
yeah, like this is the paper. You know what I mean? This
Yeah,
is I have been carrying this around for decades. Like there's, it's like turning yellow. Um,
yeah. The AI lyrics tend to not be that complex. Like you can tell that like a human being labored over those.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I Christine Black, who I love to death. She's like, why don't you ask your son, who's a musician, to write it
Oh yeah.
rather than use AI? And I'm like, I have.
This was a last resort.
He was like, no. I'm like, come on. But I've asked him more than once over the years. The last time I asked him was a long time ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna ask him.
Yeah,
I will just
yeah.
go the rest of my life never knowing what my songs would sound like. Um, but now I know. And like that one was one of the better. There was two that were just fantastic. That was one of the better ones. Um, there was another one that I wrote the song around one line that was written by somebody else, by my friend, my best friend
Mhm.
as a teenager. His name was Todd, Raymond Todd. And he wrote the one, Freedom, calling on me to take me where I long to be. And I wrote the rest of the song around it. And I put that in and I chose the genre and the style of music and all that kind of stuff, all the different things that it asks you for. And then what it gave back to me just was, yeah, I cried. I was just
Oh
like, oh my
yeah.
God, and I was just like, I wish Todd could hear this, you
Yeah.
know?
Nice.
Um, but yeah, yeah, Todd took his own life about 3 years ago.
Oh
Mm.
shit.
So yeah. Mm. Anyway, not to bring everybody down.
No, well, it's, I mean, I remember, I guess a couple months ago, it's probably longer. My sense of time is completely gone at this point, but it was at some point in the not too distant past, I was listening to, um, I think it was Radio Lab or one of the other NPR podcasts. My sense of differentiating NPR podcasts is also completely shot by this point. But and it was a segment, it was by a guy who was like an actual professional musician, and he was talking about using one of these AI music tools and how he is like simultaneously fascinated and terrified by it because he played around with it and he actually found some of it kind of useful, like to him as a guy who actually makes music. Like he fed some of his music that he had written into it, and it he was the one he was using sounds similar to the one I've used before, where you can give it a piece of music, and one of the options is it will extend it, you know, and he did that with a piece that he had written, and some of the new music that the AI came up with to continue his piece. He didn't think he was actually going to use that for anything, but what it did gave him ideas like for other things that he could do. Um, but what terrified him is he said, this is probably going to put musicians like me completely out of business because like
Right.
actual actual, like rock stars or like famous musicians are probably going to be fine. But people who like write commercials, who write jingles, who just write incidental music for stuff, like they're in the short term with the state of the technology right now, they're the ones that are in the most danger. Um,
Yeah.
because you can, I mean, AI can spit that stuff out. Like if you just need background
Well,
music for something and the
that's
actual
what Brian
quality
was
of the
saying.
music, yeah,
Yeah, that's what Brian was saying a minute ago. He loves it for writing jingles and stuff for the radio. Um, yeah, what I did was with that song more than any of the others. With that one was I put it in and I ran a sample. I listened to it. Then I
hmm,
went back and I rewrote a couple of pieces where I thought, now that I can hear it, I'm not
yeah,
happy with this. Let me delete this. And
yeah,
oh, this, ethereal storm sounds better here. Let me put that here. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I for this one more than anything else, I workshopped it on the screen, and then I would render that, listen to it, and then go back and make more changes. So this one took me a little while to do, but this is the one. But like the main song, the original, you
yeah,
know, was all written down in '94, and I guess you could say I completed it today.
yeah.
A couple of
I
the
mean,
others that I did was just absolute, just word for word what I wrote, where I was just like, I am not changing this. This will not be changed. And yeah. Anyway,
there 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 is there's a sort of, again, like all of the ethical problems aside, um, there is, and I don't mean to brush those off because those are serious and need to be considered. But like there is a one person band quality to it, literally in terms of the music, but also like other various tools you can use, the ones that might actually
well,
be useful to people, where
that's
and
interesting.
well, like speaking as someone who, I mean, my YouTube channel is literally mine. Like I do everything on it.
Mhm.
And I kind of like it that way. Like if I ever got to a point where I was making enough money that I could plausibly afford like to hire people to help me, I'm not sure if I would really want to unless I absolutely had to, because I like having no one to depend on for it but me. You know, like if something's late, it's my fault. I'm not waiting on somebody else. I'm not having a disagreement with somebody else. If some, it's like everything depends on me, and that's pressure, but that also means that I have control over it. And if something fucks up, it's because of me, and if something succeeds, it's because of me. So so I totally get the appeal of, well, I didn't want to ask one of my musician friends to write the music.
So
I wanted to control it myself. Yeah, your son in your case, but
my
like
son
yeah,
is a one man band.
yeah,
Where he writes the music for every instrument, and some of it he plays physically, then other stuff is like he does the drums all on the computer.
sure,
But he writes the music and he puts it into the computer, and he can tweak it and whatever he does, and then he does all of the vocals, and then he produces it and does everything. So he's like a one man complete band. And like I said, I had asked him to write music for my stuff, and he's no, no,
I'm
no.
not doing it.
I was just going to what Steve was saying. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel the same way about a lot of things because here's the thing: once you have other people involved, it brings a certain level of obligation.
yeah,
And when it's just you, only have the obligation you choose to make to yourself. And you can change that if that's no longer conducive to what you want to do. You can make it more busy, you can make it less busy, whatever wherever you want. Like you've done many times. You've had a series that you felt like this series is played out, and you stopped that series and you came up with a new series.
sure.
And so no one else, and I think about Seth MacFarlane, who has made some things I like. Obviously I love uh,
Orville.
Orville. Thank you. I'm having a hard time with words today. Uh, but so basically, because he has, he's not committed to doing that on a regular schedule, then dozens of people are in the lurch waiting on him to do the next thing. And this is the reason why, his second in command, and I'm drawing her blank on her name too. Why she probably not going to come back because she's tired of like the yo-yo of
Yeah, yeah,
and I'll tell you for myself, I got my own company, as you know, and there's times when I don't really feel like doing it today, but I have
Why,
employees.
like, I think that's why Devin, when I asked him to do the music for my songs, I think his thing was he probably could do it, but would be afraid that I would be offended if I didn't like the music that he put to it.
Yeah,
So he'd
yeah,
rather not put himself in that position or to feel obligated to do it a certain way where I might end up getting upset. So it was just best just to say no.
right. He doesn't want to have creative differences with you.
Yeah, right. So which is why when he said no, I didn't get upset about it. I mean, inside I was kind of like, "Aw," but I get
you'd
it.
prefer that he would have done it, but yeah, yeah,
You can deal with it. Yeah,
yeah,
but I'm finding I'm to the point where I don't even like subscriptions to things. Um, and like I remember once for a present, somebody gave me like a subscription to Massage Envy, so it was like one free, one a month, or basically 12. Yeah, and then it was like near, I didn't do it that much, and then near the end, I'm trying to do them just to use them up, and I'm like, oh god, now
yeah,
and like I'm not just doing it for the sake of not wasting it, and I'm not even enjoying it, So it's again, it's become an obligation, and I found the same thing even in gaming. I'm a gamer of various types, and I'm like, well, when the game becomes work, it's time to stop playing that game.
yeah. Well, and I mean, I know a big thing for me, and if I'm collaborating with someone else and that person is in charge, I'm completely fine. Like all of these issues I have that I've, like the urge to be a one person band, like completely disappears. If I sign on to a project and you are steering the ship, no problem. Because ultimately it's your responsibility. And I'm just going to contribute in any way you want me to as best as I can. But ultimately you're calling the shots.
Right, right.
But if I'm calling the shots, I mean, the problem is I know exactly what I want. And someone else can contribute something and it might be better than what I wanted. And I'll think, okay, now that's what I want. But there will also be times where I want something very specific and the other people I'm working with are, either they disagree or for whatever reason, they're just incapable of giving me that exact thing that I want. And I just can't let it go. And I'm like, no, I want it. This is what I want. And with an AI, again, for all of the considerations aside, I don't, because an AI isn't a person, because an AI doesn't have consciousness, because an AI doesn't have pride, because an AI, for all intents and purposes, does not exist as anything other than a toy and potentially a tool. I don't have to feel bad about making an AI do something 500 times if that's what
Right.
it takes to get it to come out exactly the way I want it. Whereas if I'm dealing with another human being, even if it's in a professional setting and I'm compensating them for their time and labor, I still feel like a shit if I have to go back to them more than 2 or 3 times and say, "Can you take another run at this?"
Mm.
I feel sheepish about that. Um, and I know maybe that I know that's on me because like people sometimes ask me to do stuff. Like some of my fellow YouTubers will like ask me to just, to read quotes or something for a video they're doing if they need a quote read out loud and they don't want to do it themselves. And I'm always happy to do that. And I always I say, look, I'll give you my reading of it. And if you have any notes for how you want me to say it or whatever, please. And if I don't do it the way you want, please let me know. I will be happy to do it again. But for some reason, when I'm on the other side and I'm the one who has to say, can you do it again? Like, I'll give myself like one of those without feeling bad. But after that, I'm like, oh, it's still not what I want. Am I gonna have to go back and ask them to do it again? Oh,
Well,
I hate that.
and that it's because it's because you've done it. You have empathy for it. It's kind of like me in my business that I've all the people in my company that work for me. I've done all those jobs, every one of them.
Yeah.
So I have empathy for it. But I also have those times, like it happened this week. I wanted an employee to not do what was planned to do and go do something else because they needed to help out another employee, and I wasn't going to be available to do it, and she didn't, and I was fuming because I was like, yes, I understand it's disruptive to drop what you were doing and go do the other thing, but there were considerations other than what you were aware of, and you could have talked.
Yeah.
You could have asked me if you wanted to know why. We could have talked about it, but now you've caused the problem because you didn't do what I wanted when I needed it, and the thing is, it's funny, and I tell people that I don't like conflict or and they laugh because I get in lots of fights. But the thing is, those are always reactive. They're always
Yeah.
reactive in the moment. If I contemplate a confrontation, it causes me physical harm.
I'm the same way. I
Yeah.
will avoid confrontation if at all possible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what I ended up so in this case what I ended up doing was I called you guys know Philip, the True Puka.
Yeah.
He worked for me too. So I called him up and I'm like, you need to talk to so and so because I'm really fucking pissed. And I know that's not going to go well if I, unload. So here's why I'm angry. Here's the situation.
Yeah.
Pick a time and, go do it. And then, of course, then I don't have to do it.
Me, I'm just like, people need to get the fuck out of my way because I'm gonna bust some skulls.
Yeah, I mean, if I feel like that's the right thing to do, like I won't. I mean, but if I feel like I can avoid it, I will, and I don't feel good about it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless if someone's like being an asshole, like I'll tell them they're being an asshole. But other than in situations where I feel like okay, somebody has to say something, somebody has to do something, and nobody else is doing it, so I guess it's me. Like, other than those kinds of like extreme situations, I would rather just, you know what, I'll just leave. Like, the stakes for me are almost always very low. Like, if somebody's mad, I'll just leave.
So here is another one. This one, I wrote this in 1988. Bon Jovi's New Jersey had just come out, and I had like devoured that entire album. I was like hugely influenced, especially at that time in my writing, by Bon Jovi. So this song was like meant to sound Bon Jovi. It took me 2 hours on Song Earth today to try to find something musically, some kind of because you put in
Yeah.
combinations, right? It's like
Yeah.
rock, anthem, romantic, and you could like add all
Yeah.
these different, and it gives you, an overall style. So I had to find the right combination. It took like 2 hours. I never really found it, but this one was the closest
Okay.
to what was in my head. Like it was supposed to sound like Bon Jovi. And actually, I'm really proud of this one. It's very
Well, you
simple,
put enough work into it.
but yeah, I mean, in 1988 to
No,
now,
I mean you didn't put it. I mean you
it
put work into it when you wrote the lyrics, and then you bugged the AI about it repeatedly until the AI got it right. But
yeah,
it still sounds like a
AI gave
tedious
me
process.
the AI kept giving me problems. It kept shutting
Yeah.
down, saying, "Oh, we've had a problem. Oh, we've had a problem. And I was just like, what's your fucking problems? You're gonna do this song.
I
I will
don't want to
not
get
give
sued
up."
by Bon Jovi. What are you asking me to do?
I posted this one on Facebook, and I actually tagged John Bon Jovi. I want this motherfucker to contact me and say, "I want to make your song."
Yeah.
Not gonna happen, but that would be
Yeah.
cool.
If you're if you're mad, John, don't be mad at me. I didn't write the music. The AI wrote the music.
Right?
I actually met him once. That's
But yeah,
Raven. Did you ever go to Club Benet in Keyport, or not Keyport? I guess
No,
it's Saraville. But
no.
so it used to be a very popular club. It was like a club from like the 40s originally, and it had big band and stuff like that. And eventually, it was like modern rock stuff and like comedy shows and things like that. So one day I'm there with friends. I don't even remember who we were there to see, and he just showed up.
That's wild.
He's from there. I mean, like
Yeah,
I actually went to college with some people who went to high school with him.
yeah. He grew up on Robin Hood Lane.
Yeah, and but and then I don't remember if it was the same night or not. I think it was. Sebastian Bach also showed up.
And I don't know that because I'm a super fan or anything like that.
Yeah, right.
It's common knowledge if you live in New Jersey, I think.
I always assumed that all New Jersey residents know about all the famous New Jersey people. I just sort of naturally
We
assumed.
know
And
a
then,
lot about them,
Yeah.
well, and the thing I think part of it too, I think it's great, is that I think more than practically every other celebrity that's out there, from whatever other state or country they're from, New Jersey celebrities are like diehard New Jersey.
Yeah, being from New Jersey is like a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love
Right.
that Danny DeVito's production company is called Jersey Films.
Yeah.
And now he's doing commercials for Jersey Mike's.
What took so
People are
long?
different. Jersey people are different, though. We just not just the celebrities, all of us. We're just different.
Yeah.
We're a different breed. And you ask anybody from Jersey, no matter where they go in the world, they'll say it's great here, but the pizza sucks. I got to go home and have real pizza.
Yep.
Um,
I think part of it's very similar to like being, the experience of being Gen X is like both rolled into one, because, as Gen Xer, of course, we were the neglected children and we did our own thing, but also, being in the shadow of New York,
yeah.
and people looking down on us, and people who've never been here saying stupid shit, because that was the running joke around the country about New Jersey. So it made us like ready for some shit,
What? Oh, you're from New
Yeah.
Jersey? What exit?
and
And it's like, you know what? What exit? The Parkway and the Turnpike?
I,
I gotta drive an hour to get to them.
well,
There's
We're
other
nowhere
parts of the
near here.
state, man.
well, the thing is, I've always lived near those, so I'm like, well, from the Parkway or the Turnpike, which one?
Which
Like,
one?
Because I'm like, oh yes, you think it's funny that we have a good system of roads that go everywhere, and unlike your podunky
I don't know. There's no highways where I live. I'm in New Jersey. We have no highways here.
But and the other one too that people laugh at us about, which I find hysterical, every time it's cold or rainy outside, is how, oh, you guys can't pump your gas. Oh,
The gas thing. Yeah.
I'm like, no, don't have to. Don't have to.
Dude.
Yeah.
Like, I know how. I've been to other states. I've had to pump gas dozens, if not hundreds of times. But when it's cold outside or rainy or all combinations thereof, and so everywhere time I'm somewhere else where I have to put my own gas. I'm like, I'm still trying to understand why I'm supposed to feel sad about missing this experience.
It's kind of a weird thing to make fun of you for. I mean, it's a little,
Yeah.
it's like trying to dunk on Alaskans because they get those oil royalty checks. It's like, why is this? Should I be ashamed of this? Like, this is a good thing about living here, right? Like,
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, you guys don't know how." No, I know how. I've done it. It's just, it's an overrated experience, and
yeah, it's like, are you supposed to like rebel? Are you supposed to march on the state house and let us pump our own gas? Like,
and every
just take it, just take the W.
every 7 to 10 years, it comes up for a referendum, and every time we go, nah, we're good.
we don't need to pump the gas. It's cool.
Yeah.
In 1988, at some point after New Jersey came out, I am on a hill near my house where I grew up late at night, probably about 10 o'clock at night or so, in the pouring rain, breaking up with my then girlfriend, who I eventually married. And I went home, soaking wet, smoking like a chimney. And I remember the way, I'll never forget this. I remember I could smell the cologne I was wearing was Drakkar, very 80s.
Nice.
And I could smell the wet leather. I was a fringe Bon Jovi jacket with the fringes.
Oh,
That's what I was
wow.
wearing. So very 80s, you know. I had long hair and big earrings. So yeah, it was a very 80s thing. And I went
So
home.
it was a Bon Jovi vibe just all around,
It was
not just
yeah.
musically.
Hey,
It's
man.
just all around.
This is Jersey, okay? So I went home and I penned this.
As I light my cigarette and the rain keeps coming down, my mind wanders to oblivion in this dark, deserted town. I think of where I'm going and the things I've yet to do. While I'm standing in the downpour, my thoughts fill with you. All I know is that I love you, and the way you make me feel. A love that'll last forever, the kind you know is real. It's the rain, rain of your love, gets me through the night. It's the rain, rain of your love, makes everything alright. Walking down the street, put out my cigarette. The downpour becomes a drizzle. I'm all alone, soaking wet. Envisioning my future, Lord, I know what lies behind. As I shuffle across the crossroads, you're still all on my mind. All I know is that I love you, and the way you make me feel. A love that'll last forever, the kind you know is real. It's the rain, rain of your love, gets me through the night. It's the rain, rain of your love, makes everything alright. In the storm I find solace, in the chaos there's a sign. Every drop whispers your name, every moment feels divine. As the thunder rolls in loudly, and the lightning lights the sky, my heart beats like a drum as I reach for your goodbye. It's the little things that matter, like the warmth within your smile. Through the rain, you're my compass, guiding me through the night. And though the night is heavy and shadows dance around, every drop that falls reminds me of a love that can be found. All I know is that I love you and the way you make me feel. A love that'll last forever, the kind you know is real. It's the rain, rain of your love. It gets me through the night. It's the rain, rain of your love. Makes everything alright. Gets me through the night. It's the rain, rain of your love. It gets me through the night. It's the rain, rain of your love. It gets me through the night. It's the rain, rain of your love. Makes everything alright.
So very Bon Jovi.
Oh yeah. I mean, I see what you mean. I can tell that, like, because I was thinking about what you said before you played it. Like, this was as close as it would get to it, because it definitely has like a heavy Bon Jovi vibe. Especially, I mean, I think the lyrics more than anything else, but it still has. It almost sounds. It's like four parts Bon Jovi, one part country. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
'cause I was gonna say there's definitely a country angle on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And I noticed with the song or app, um, almost everything has a little bit of a country vibe to it.
yeah,
It just kind of like leans that way, which is weird.
yeah.
Yeah, that would turn me off as far as the stuff I would want to make because I despise country music.
Well,
Like, I mean,
hasn't I mean, haven't some of I know because I know with Springsteen, another New Jerseyite,
New
some of
York,
his like in the last, I guess maybe 20 years ago, he did an album where a couple of the singles were released with like countryfied mixes
So
and charted on the country charts. And I
I
think
don't
didn't
remember
Bon
how
Jovi
long
do?
ago. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember how long ago it was, but the album "Have a Nice Day," 20
Okay.
something years ago, right? It had a couple of songs that had a very heavy country vibe, and then the
Yeah.
following album, "Lost Highway," was like a wing to country. So much so that Bon Jovi won a country music award.
Okay.
And he
Yeah.
was
That sounds
featured on the
familiar.
country music station or whatever. They had a like a Bon Jovi night. Like he just like took a real big swing into country music.
well, oh,
So
and
because of that,
I bet you nobody in the country scene attacked him for it.
no, they did not. They did not.
Unlike,
Do, do you know why? Because he's not
Unlike
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
you know,
Yeah, I can't
and why?
imagine what the difference is.
Yeah, I know, right?
Weird,
But
huh?
well, even then, I guess even going back to because obviously "Dead or Alive" was a country-ish song.
That's true. Yeah, that
Right?
has like a nice. That's like
Yeah,
a. It's like, I mean, it's a cowboy
Then Young
song. It's yeah,
Guns. It was
yeah,
Young
yeah,
Guns.
yeah.
yeah. But
Blaze of Glory.
Blaze of
see,
Glory, great song. Yeah,
yeah, that's got like a light country vibe. I think for me, like I don't hate all country music. I actually like because I grew up like my grandparents used to watch like Grand Ole Opry,
Oh yeah.
So you have like Minnie Pearl and you know Roy Clark and Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was actually I don't know if I
Johnny
still have.
Cash.
I had several Johnny Cash albums,
Yeah.
and I still like Johnny Cash. And I've come to find out that I kind of like Zydeco and to Kentucky Bluegrass.
Oh, I love bluegrass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because bluegrass is
Yeah.
uplifting. Because that's the thing. So much of country music is like, oh, everything sucks. The world's falling away. Basically, blues for white people.
Song I played before. Did you hear
Oh
the? You
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
hear it.
yeah. The
I
my
Should I?
wife broke. Yeah.
Should I play it for him? It's really
I
short.
yeah,
no, no, no,
play
no,
it
no,
for
no,
Joe. Yeah, it was.
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
it
This
no,
is
definitely captures. It
Joe. This
definitely
is
captures a
fantastic. Joe, you got to
contemporary
hear it.
country
Joe, you got to
vibe.
hear it.
no,
This
no,
is
no, no,
not
no,
now.
no, no,
Well, finish what
no.
you're saying, then I'll play.
So just yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, but the thing
It's
is
called "My
that
Wife Broke Down."
you
It's
know,
no worse than many real country
well,
songs.
that's the thing. But I mean, there's so many. You know, and also Zydeco is also very uplifting. It's kind of like
Y-
Southern party
Upbeat.
music, you know.
Yeah.
But
I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with that at all.
Up
you know,
tempo.
Zydeco is like Louisiana country, like Cajun
Okay,
music,
all
Yeah.
right.
and it's really you know, and again, it's you know, it's there's a lot of concertina, and there's you know, there's the fiddle, of course, but there's like some instruments you don't hear in most, and basically because it comes out of like French folk music. You know, mixed in with the Spanish the faster Spanish and African stuff, and it's really really good. Because most of the you know, and it's the thing, even like the stuff that you would see on Grand Ole Opry, there was some sad stuff, but there was a lot of uplifting stuff and happy stuff. When it got into like the you know my dog died and you know my car blew up and my girlfriend kicked me in the balls, you know, and then when it became like half rock, half country, and where it just became a formula. And I'm sure
It
we've
all
all
became
seen,
Def Leppard.
yeah, and we've all seen that video where the person like spliced in multiple country songs, and you
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
tell where one
Yeah,
ended in because they're all in the key of A, and it's all the same bullshit. And it's just like
It's all the
the
same
lyrics,
structure and
yeah, the
yeah.
lyrics were interchangeable, the tunes were interchangeable, and like
Well,
it's
and
fucking horrible.
they're the thing that I mean, I'm kind of like you, Joe, in that like when I grew up, when I was growing up, my dad had a radio in the basement in his
Mm.
workshop, and the radio was always on, and it was always tuned to the country station. So I grew up hating country music because it was just playing nonstop in the basement, and I just grew to loathe it. And when I got a little older, I grew out of that and I discovered a lot of country music that I do actually really like.
Mm.
It's just that most of it's not what they play on the radio. It's not like the mainstream, you know, popular country, at
Right,
least
right.
not nowadays. It's like stuff that was
same thing with
popular
like
in
50s
like
music and a lot of 50s. My
yeah,
mom was like a huge Elvis fan, and she played Elvis constantly, and a lot of like the
yeah,
doo-wop and all that. And I had like no use for it when I was young. But
yeah.
now there are like some Elvis songs that I like, "Suspicious Minds," right? There's some
Sure.
Elvis songs that I really appreciate. But yeah, when I was young,
You get
God,
overexposed to it and you're just like, I don't want to hear this anymore.
just
But
shoot
like
me. Like I'm not
but
getting, I'm
like
not
there's
getting in your car. It's like I'm not getting in
yeah,
your car.
exactly.
I don't want to hear.
But like there's this like with country music that was made in, let's say, from the 90s forward, where it became not just, you know, nostalgia out of control about when the town where I grew up, right? It went from nostalgic to this is how everybody should live. And
Right.
people who don't live this way are doing it wrong.
Right.
And like if you go
It's a
back and
small
listen
town.
to like I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like if you I mean Johnny Cash, to take one example, like he wrote some songs about his childhood and about the places he grew up and you know the circumstances that he grew up in, but it none of it sounds like judgmental toward people who weren't there.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like, and he makes no, I mean, he romanticizes it in a sense because it's his memories and it's his childhood and he clearly has a fondness for it, but he doesn't make it sound like paradise.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the thing, and this is where the whole thing on the political side is turned to where, like, well, this is the real America. The real America is chick kicking fucking hillbillies.
Small town America, buddy.
And if you don't drive a truck and have a you know a dog that you don't let in the house, and you don't have 18 guns, and and you don't wear wear flannel and jeans, and you're not a real American bullshit. And I'm just like, fuck you.
Honest, a lot
Yeah.
of people that I know, like in IRL, who would be like country fans or live in really rural areas, more rural than where I live. A couple of years ago, there was a big thing that they would pass around on Facebook. It was a meme that said, "If you weigh less than 200 pounds, you're not a man." Um, and it
They
was
have
just like,
people. I don't. People
this
have
is
such a.
just
There's
stupid.
a lot of those rural people who are like them. Not all rural people, obviously, but rural people
Right.
who have like that attitude and those beliefs. And you see a lot of it in the country music. They have such a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who's picking on you, man? Like, why do you have to
Well,
feel like you have to be like, I'm from a small town and I don't care. I'm not ashamed. Who's picking on you, dude? Who's telling you you should be ashamed of it?
here's the funny part about it is they're like, we don't want those East Coast, West Coast liberals telling us how to live. Meanwhile, they're very happy to tell the rest of us how we should live. And also for guys that, again, having a tough image is like essential. Like if I'm trying to remember, you ever see the movie Heathers?
Oh, yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
that one part where, he tries, after he kills the guys, then he's trying to make them like people think that they were gay. And the guy's like, well, why would that make him gay? It's like, this is Ohio. If you're not drinking a brewski, you might as well be wearing a dress,
Yeah.
and it's that kind of thing. And the thing is, it gets me for men that are supposedly so tough, rugged, and confident. They're
Sensitive.
petrified that somebody else might think that they're not manly enough, or heaven forbid that they're gay or they're bisexual.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? People are tough. Don't worry about that shit.
No.
So,
No.
most areas normally in normal times, rural areas or like suburbs over time, they become like more urban or, more suburban in the case of like rural areas. Well, the town I live in is actually kind of seen the opposite. The population here has dropped, which is weird for most places. Like, I work in the schools, and the high school graduating class, we're actually the high school student body, right now, or at least this past school year, was like 930 kids, right? When I was in school, the student body for that same building that was half the size that it is now, the student body was about 2,000 kids.
Mhm.
So we had like twice the number of students in
Yeah.
half the building, right? So the town shrunk a lot. And it became more redneckish. It became more country. It went backwards.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that really like stands out is we hear gunshots all the time. And it's not like in the city, if you hear a gunshot, you're going to think somebody got killed, right? Here, it's like, oh, somebody's having a party, they're having a good time, or they're shooting
Yeah.
at an animal.
Yeah.
That's what it is here. But a lot of people aren't from here that live here now, and they run to Facebook and they're like, I just heard gunshots. And there'll be like 50 people responding, hey, this is the country. If you
Just
don't like it,
relax.
move back to the city. You don't belong here.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
what's fucked up about that, when I was a kid, there was never gunshots.
Right.
There was never
Yeah.
gunshots. It's just like, so it's become more redneck. It's become more
Well, especially because
yeehaw.
it's actually against the law unless you're defending your home.
Yep.
It's illegal to shoot a gun within 500 feet of a dwelling because
Oh, yeah.
of the population density. Chances are that shot's going to land in somebody's house.
Yeah.
So you generally, when and it's funny because again, the right wing is always about following the law, but they don't follow any law. They don't give a fuck about it.
No, they don't even care what the law is. And if they find out that they broke a law, then they get mad at the law. They're like, well, there shouldn't be a law. I should be able to shoot my gun wherever I want.
Right. Well, here's the thing. So
yeah.
Get guns real quick. If let me see. So 38. So if I had gotten the firearm ID card as soon as possible, so just after my 18th birthday, it would take a few months, and I wanted to buy, and if I got the maximum number of handgun permits allowed, and mind you, New Jersey has like the toughest gun laws in the country, I could literally legally own over 900 handguns now if I wanted to. Yeah. But if you listen to the gun nuts, they're like, this is so terrible, Mike. You can have a fucking arsenal in New Jersey if you want to.
Yeah.
Because the only thing is, it's not going to be a place, if you want to be a gun runner, it's not economically viable to come to New Jersey to buy a gun to go sell on the street, because you can't buy that many handguns at a time.
Virginia, and then you sell it in the street in Newark. That's what happens.
You know, so when they, and that's the thing. So the people will talk about, oh, the violence in the city. It's like, yeah, with guns came from your fucking podunk asses.
Exactly. There's a Hank Williams Jr. song, and I love a lot of Hank Williams Jr. stuff, to be completely honest. There's a Hank Williams Jr. song called "A Country Boy Can Survive" that has always frustrated me because it's about 2/3 of a pretty good song. It's about Hank singing about this guy that he knows, because Hank is from down in the country, and he has this friend from New York City, and they come from different parts of the country, and they have different lifestyles, but they're friends, and they send each other gifts like from their parts of the world, and it's like this nice, he has a friend in New York, and they get along even though they're different. And then in the last verse of the song, the guy from New York gets mugged and murdered. And Hank is like, see, that wouldn't happen down here. And I'm like, I know you had to end the song somehow, but the way you end the song is, and then my friend from New York City got murdered, because that's what happens when you live in the city. Just like, Jesus Christ, man.
When I go to karaoke on Wednesday nights, because Wednesday nights I do karaoke, most Wednesday nights I do karaoke at a local place, and there's a guy there, typical, like, you get the cowboy hat, the whole thing, and he sings that song for karaoke. And one night he was singing it. I looked at somebody and said, "This song's fucked up."
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Well, it gets me about that too. It's their, again, they're supposed to be the brave ones, and they're so fucking timid. But the funniest part is, if when you look at the per capita violent crime statistics, it's largely red areas that lead the way. Alaska is number one. Alaska dwarfs Chicago, and it was wild that you would think, because in general, I've noticed if you generally have to normalize the stats versus population density, so per capita by density, because of course the more people are around each other, the more violence, the more crimes are going to be, because of opportunity, right? And more opportunities to annoy the fuck out of one another. But so when you kind of look at states with similar population densities, you find that the red states have higher per capita violence. But then Alaska, where the population density is like, 2 people per 100 hectares,
miles,
and yet they have the highest per capita murder rate.
Well, it's not 2 people per 100 miles anymore. Now it's 1.
Yeah.
Took care of that little. That's not going to be a repeating issue, is it?
And then every time some Texan talks to me about crime statistics, and I'm like, Texas has higher violent crime per capita across the board. You look up like the different types of murder, rape, arson, across the board. They beat us in everything.
Well, wasn't there a thing recently? There was I can't remember. It was a Democratic governor. It might have been Pritzker from Illinois, who got into it on social media with like a Republican governor from a southern state. And they were like, the same thing that, Chicago, the murder capital of the world, or whatever, the murder capital of the universe, Chicago, Illinois. And the governor was like, the murder rate in your state is twice as high as the one in my state, or something like that. I don't know if it was twice, but like your supposedly safe rural state has a murder rate twice or significantly higher than our evil urban state that is a war zone.
Apparently, in the last couple of days, what's her face, McMahon, the Secretary of the Department of Education, had said that California should model their education system after Alabama's, and Gavin Newsom's like, Alabama's the 40th worst education in the country, 44th worst. Now California should actually then, and if they really need to change it, they should model after New Jersey's. New Jersey's is the highest education in the country.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to draw any broad conclusions based on individuals, but I don't think you should be, modeling your state's education system after the state that produced Forrest Gump. I'm sorry. I know he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, But I mean, he went through that education system.
So Peachy Keen, I am in New Jersey, and we hear gunshots also during hunting season. They hunt deer. We have a lot of deer, and bear. It took a long time for the state to legalize it, but it is now legal. They can hunt bear, because we have a lot. I don't know about anywhere else, but in New Jersey we've got a lot of bear. And they hunt, ducks and pheasants and all that kind of shit too.
Yeah.
And
Because
we
this
have
is the woods.
turkeys too.
And turkeys, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was shocked,
Because this is
to
the
find
woods.
out. One time I was at a friend's place, and I saw wild turkeys in my hometown, the town I grew up in, and I was like, "We have turkeys here?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we always had turkeys here."
Yeah. We have them
So,
around here. You see them every once in a while, but yeah.
but
Sometimes they block the road here. There'll be like a whole flock of them just hanging out on the road. And it's like, you really are a stupid bird.
Don't worry, kids. They'll stop. Kids, come
no,
on.
no, it
They'll
is.
stop.
They're Jersey birds. They're like,
Is
They're
that what it
Jersey
is?
bird.
"Oh, you, we're blocking the
Hey,
road."
wow, we're crossing the
Hey,
road.
I'm walking here.
hitting the roof of the car with his wing.
No. Yeah,
Hey,
we're gobbling here.
we're gobbling here.
Well, I think it's kind of wild about turkeys, about wild turkeys, is how, yeah, I'm sure you've seen it where like if a turkey dies, they form a ring around it and they like march around it in a circle.
They have
And
a
it's
little
like,
ceremony.
Yeah.
whoa, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to find cover when it rains because they'll drown if they
They
don't.
they won't actually drown. That's an old, it's funny, but it's not true. Because otherwise, wild turkeys would die. They would just be dying
Yeah.
by.
They're a pretty successful species with such an obvious weakness.
But
There
it is
was
funny though.
speaking of states, there was a video recently. It was one of those reels, and it was Jersey Girl Goes to Philadelphia, is what it was. And she's going, it's just so stupid. She was going, oh my God, everything is named after Ben Franklin here. Got the Ben Franklin Bridge and the Ben Franklin this and the Ben Franklin that and the Ben Franklin. What's the matter with these people? And I'm like, in New Jersey, we have a minimum of 3 towns named after Ben Franklin. Like there's Franklin Township, Franklin Lakes, there's the town of Franklin, there's Franklin Borough, there's 4.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
He was a pretty big deal back when they were naming stuff. I mean,
especially in Pennsylvania. But it's like, and we don't even have like tons and tons of Ben Franklin stuff. We also have tons and tons of Alexander Hamilton stuff. There's Alexander Hamilton Park. There's Alexander Hamilton Schools. There's
the town of Hamilton.
the town of Hamilton. It's just like,
I mean, it's the least you could do since that is where he was killed.
right?
You know,
You can do anything
we'll
in
name
Jersey.
some shit after you, dude. We're sorry.
Well, the other thing too, there's two towns. One that's about half hour from me, and one that was the town that Bon Jovi's from, Sayreville. So there's Morris. There's Morris County.
Right.
It was the Morris family actually, and they were actually part of the New Jersey delegation to for the Declaration of Independence and also the Constitution.
Right.
So the Morrises kind of owned Morris County, and so there's Morris everything everywhere. There's a Morris Avenue in my town, but like the Sayreville, that was founded by the Sayers, and there's still Sayers around, and there's a whole bunch of Sayer things, Sayreville, Sayer this, Sayer that, Sayre.
Was a cross dresser.
Was that?
What? You can't hear me?
I didn't hear it. Who was a cross-dresser?
Morris.
Hmm.
That one of the founding fathers. He was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. Morris County guy. He was a crossdresser. He was actually a bit of a sexual deviant, and he spent his fortune. Like when they said that we pledge our fortunes, he took it seriously. He spent the family's money in ensuring the freedom of his country. And he gave most of it. He lost most of what he had. But I mean, the family is remembered forever because of it, though. I mean, you walk into the Morris County or the Morristown municipal building, and there's a big statue of him right in the middle of it. Not in a dress, unfortunately. That would have been really funny. But the wig, but a lot of them were. So
Well, that's the other thing too. About now they're getting so obsessed about how anyone dresses and I'm like, look at how people dressed in robes back in the day, and and that was so men were wearing dress like garments. It was just that was what
Yeah.
everybody wore, right?
yeah, and
Well,
wigs, powdered wigs.
Scott
every
and the Irish wear kilts.
everybody thinks that everything has always been the way it is right now, and
Right.
that's the way it should be.
And they refuse to accept that it could have been different another time,
Yeah.
even if it's easily provable.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
laugh about some of the conspiracy idiots, because they'll say that, oh well, the latest thing now is that the filming of the moon landing or various space accomplishments, 50s, 60s, early 70s, was
Yeah.
CGI. I'm like, there was no such fucking
On
thing.
what computer? On what computer? The computers in the actual spacecraft were like calculators.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of the computations that went into that launch was done by a woman.
Yeah. Well, and it's like when you see, here's when you look at like early CGI, like in movies, like movies like from the 70s, early 80s that had like really rudimentary computer graphics. And it's like, some very basic shots of things that are obviously computer generated. And then you look up like the story behind it and you're like, oh yeah, that took like 8 years to render. I mean, it's ridiculous. The
Oh, yeah,
idea that they could create
last-
like a photorealistic moon landing in a computer in the 60s.
Well, that's the thing.
is
Yeah. Look
absurd.
at the last Starfighter. It's like some of the best
Yes.
computer
Yeah.
graphics available at the time, and they're so cheesy compared to what we have now.
Yeah. Well, God, even like Babylon 5, which looks great for especially for when it was made. I mean, you can tell that it's computer graphics, but I mean, even that, like that was kind of groundbreaking for the time for a TV series to use it so extensively. But it's like nobody's going to see that and go, "Oh my God, is this a documentary?" Like,
Right.
The woman who did the computations for the moonshot, I don't remember her name. It was a black woman. And she received, much later, a lot of, reporting and praise and everything else for the obvious amazing job she did. I can't help but think though, if it was a white woman, I would probably know her name off the top of my head.
So for our audience and for ourselves, Dorothy Vaughan.
Dorothy
That's it.
Vaughan, yeah.
No, so Catherine Goebel. Dorothy Vaughan was also part of that, and Dorothy Vaughan was the one who actually, when the first computer was being used, she was the one because that was actually doing the programming. And Mary Jackson was also part of that clique. And despite having a nice thing in there, John Glenn had nothing to do with it at all.
Hidden Figures, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like one of those things like that's the white character they put in so white people will watch the movie.
Yeah.
Or believe it, because otherwise it would be too unbelievable that black people white people.
I hadn't seen that movie. I always said I was going to watch it, and I've never watched it. I should watch it. I've always wanted to watch it. I just don't.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, that's what I understand. It's a good movie.
It does have like Joe just said. I mean, it does have. It's like there are certain times where it's like we still haven't quite gotten that habit out of our system. You got to put a white person in. Like, I mean, it's not nearly as bad as those kinds of stories used to be. Like, if that movie had been made 30 years ago, like the main character would have been a white person, right? And it would have been about like how the white person learned about the black woman who
the black woman had the job. It was going, I don't know what to do. What do I do?
Yeah.
And the white man comes and sits down and says, this is how you add.
Here's what you should do. Yeah, I mean, we've gotten past that, but there's still, especially if it's like a sort of prestige, like studio movie that they're hoping will win a bunch of Oscars. It's like, you can't just give it to the black people. You got to put a white person in there.
Well, and
who's the white person? Who's going to be the white person?
And even the movie 42.
Oh, yeah.
Parts of it. And it's funny, you remember Wildwood Claire?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, she did a review of the movie, and yeah, she's extremely progressive person. You know, she's a lesbian and she was, you know, very progressive, you know, atheist, whole deal. But when she reviewed the movie, she had a critique of there's one character in the movie who was like really over the top racist, and she thought that they were just laying it on thick. They were gilding the lily. Turns out that guy in the movie, the character in the movie, was a real person,
Oh yeah.
and they toned it down.
Yeah. I think wasn't that Leo DeRocher? I think it was
Um, it was I forget, it may have been, but he was just a
but yeah,
fucking
well, I
piece
mean,
of
my
shit.
God, you can't, nobody today with, I mean, or at least certainly no white person today can imagine the kind of racist abuse that Jackie Robinson had to take. I mean, I'm sure they had to tone some of that stuff down just to get it on screen. I mean,
Yeah.
Jesus.
And here she was thinking that this was over the top. I'm like, no, that's act. So when I met her in person, finally, I was like, yeah, you gotta learn that
Yeah,
that was
he
actually
was
the nicer
not,
version.
yeah, he was not welcomed with open arms
No.
by
This is
quite
a
a
good
few of the white
time.
people.
This is a good time to
Oh,
kind of put a break in here and to advertise Patreon. So here we go.
Scrolling through my feed, what do I see? All my hard work, where's
I
the
love
loyalty?
Songer.
You enjoy my vibes, my laughter, my grind. But when it comes to cash, I'm left behind.
I'm pouring out my heart, sharing every dream. But bills gotta get paid, or so it seems. Don't take me lightly, I'm not just a laugh. Show some respect, let's do the math.
Pay me on Patreon, or I'll beat you up. I'm just a click away, so fill my cup. Support the vibe, let's make it real. Pay me on Patreon, let's seal the deal. Pay me on Patreon, I'm calling your bluff. Just one little pledge, it ain't that tough.
So before we move on to something else, I just want to say
Yeah.
that one person I feel really bad for, is Larry Doby.
First American League
That's right, and it was the
player,
same.
black
And it was,
player. Yeah.
and it was the same season. Like a month later. But
Yeah.
everybody remembers Jackie Robinson, and nobody remembers Larry Doby. And yeah, he
Larry
faced
Doby.
the exact same shit that Jackie
Yeah.
did. Oh, the guy's name was Ben Chapman. He was the Phillies manager.
That's right. Leo DeRocher was on the Dodgers.
Right.
He was a teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he was just a fucking just unabashed
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Yeah. 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 I remember, I think I only saw the movie once, 42. I was a little disappointed. I mean, but I think part of it is it, I guess I kind of call it the Apollo 13 syndrome, because it's like, it's about a story where the real story is so great that it's almost impossible for any movie to live up to it. You know, because I remember seeing Apollo 13 in the theater when it first came out and thinking, yeah, that was good. Like, I liked that movie. But like, when you compare it to what actually happened in real life, it's like, this movie should have been a lot better. Like, this is one of the most amazing things that ever happened. And the movie's like, no, that was good. You know? And I think with Jackie Robinson, it's just like, if you're going to make a movie about Jackie Robinson, that better be the best goddamn movie I've ever seen.
I
Well, and
You know?
again, they had to make it palatable to white audiences.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and this is one thing, you know, while we're on the topic, when, you know, a lot of progressives were disappointed in Obama, and I'm like, they didn't get very far, but there were attempts on his life with what he did was a very centrist kind of you know, approach. He had to be palatable to a white audience, and you know, most white people don't understand that. Like, me, right? I am so not, I'm so not Ebonics, I'm so not, you know, ghetto, I'm so not, you know, all these things. And yet you would think, as I walk around in my life, in my body, that, my dumpy body, that somehow I was like, built like The Rock and was carrying a machete and an M60,
Yeah.
ready to just kill everybody in sight.
Throwing around a ghetto attitude, intimidating all the white people.
Yeah. I mean, I went into a store once with a friend and I bought like $300 and something worth of stuff, left. And then when we parted ways, I went back to the store to buy more stuff. I just spent a lot of money and I came back to spend even more. I had another $300+ worth of stuff to buy. And I realized that I was getting followed around the store by one of the salespeople. And just to prove it, I kind of ducked around the corner real quick and kneeled down. The guy came running around the corner, almost ran into me. And then he's like, "Can I help you?" Very sheepishly. And I'm like, "Yeah, you can stop fucking following me." And then he's like, "Oh, I wasn't following." I'm like, "Dude, you walked around here like your ass was on fire and I was the hose." Okay. So
fucking ridiculous.
Buy any more stuff that day. I threw it all on the floor and walked out. But
well, good for you. But like, I mean, we live in a country where not all that long ago there was the one drop doctrine. Where I mean, like, well, if you have any lineage that relates you to black people, then you're too black for us. Like, that's what the standard was.
That's right. 1/16, which you figure that 1/16 is 5 generations back.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. But that used to be the, and again, like, that's not all that long ago that a lot of people thought like that.
Yeah.
And some people today still think like that. They're just not quite as free to share it as they used to be.
Well, they weren't.
Well, that's true. Up until relatively recently, they weren't just free to share it.
Yeah, and that's why my favorite thing of all the like alternates to MAGA are like, make racists fearful again.
Yeah.
I remember at one point I remember people saying, "Oh, well, it's better it's out in the open," and I was on the fence about that. And now I'm like, nope.
It's like, but is it?
Nope.
Yeah, it's not though. It's not better if a racist feels comfortable saying racist stuff. That's a sign that we're going in the wrong direction. The racist people should not feel comfortable saying racist shit in public.
Yeah. Yeah, and we as a society should not feel comfortable with them feeling comfortable.
And I think that's a distinction a lot of people either honestly miss or just refuse to make. It's like, you can believe in free speech in the sense that, like, I don't think someone should go to prison if they like say the N-word to somebody.
Right.
But there's a difference between that and social consequences where, if I say the N-word, I'm going to lose my job, or maybe I'm just going to get the shit kicked out of me by somebody, so I'm not going to say it. Like, we should be striving for that.
Great. No, I had a brief back and forth with somebody on Threads last week about flag burning, where he was just like, I'm a Marine, and if I see somebody burning the flag, I'm going to stomp them to death. And it's just like, really?
Okay, you have fun.
You want to extinguish somebody's life for taking part in or exercising their First Amendment rights? You're a Marine, right? Aren't you supposed to be defending their rights?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, actually, they're probably, that same person is probably like says all sorts of racist. Oh, it's free, so I get to say whatever I want. They don't really mean it, right? They only mean that they want to be able to say whatever they want to without any repercussions.
Well, exactly.
Like, I forget who the Padres player is, but there's a Padres player whose mother died in 2017. And when he comes out to bat, he says a little prayer to his mother. And some shithead in the stands was, heckling him about his dead mother.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it drove the guy to tears. And so basically, Major League Baseball decided that he's now banned from all Major League parks.
Good.
And people were like, you had the typical, we have this thing called free speech in this country. I'm like, it's a private venue. They can keep out whoever the fuck they want.
You're really going to defend the guy who was making fun of the guy's dead mother until he cried?
You know,
Is
and the
that
thing
the
is,
hill you're going to die on?
I think if that was on a public street, fine, it would suck. But okay, yeah, you can do it. But
Yeah.
he was not in a public venue, right?
It's a ticketed event. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, and so whatever people's challenges, I'm always like, okay, can I come to your house and say obnoxious shit about your family, about your kids, about your spouse, about your parents? Well, no, well, same fucking shit, asshole. You know,
Yeah,
that's the
I'll
private
come.
venue.
When your mom or dad dies, I'll come to your house not too long after, and I'll make fun of them until you cry. And if you take a swing at me and try to kick the shit out of me, I'll say, "What about my free speech?
Right.
What about my rights?"
You know, and they don't seem to understand that the First Amendment only applies to the government.
That's it. Private citizens still have the right to choose who they associate with, and if people decide that you're an asshole because of the way you act or because you're always saying racist stuff and they decide they don't want you around, that's completely allowable.
That's
and
right.
and good, in fact. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm
and
okay with people.
if you're a racist and you don't want to associate with the likes of me, well, first off, thank you.
Yeah. Oh no, wait, please come back.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get those comments, even still I get those comments on my YouTube videos sometimes where I'll say something like, and usually it's when I've said something like mildly progressive. For some reason, like mildly progressive stuff pisses them off even more than like more, extreme opinions. But I'll just say something mildly progressive and they'll be like, "I can't believe you brought politics into this video about Superman. I'm not watching any more of your videos." I'm like, what response do you expect from me?
Yeah.
Oh no, man, come on, please come back. I promise I won't do it again. Like, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here.
And we talk about Superman.
I would love to talk about Superman, I say, as I wear a Batman shirt.
Can we talk about?
I am in a major Superman mood right now, so I would love to talk about Superman.
Me too. So love Christopher Reeve, right? Love. The
Absolutely.
absolutely. My opinion is Henry Cavill is the greatest Superman there's been so far. I am not one of the Snyderverse weirdos, though. I am looking forward to this new movie.
You're willing to let him go. You're willing to say, okay, he had his shot.
It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. Well, number one, he's a beautiful man.
He's like a statue. I mean, he's like a walking action figure.
Oh my God! Like there's a scene in Man of Steel where comes out of the water and.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God!
The big rock hard man titties.
My God!
Yeah,
right?
No, he's a good looking dude.
But I mean, I thought he was an amazing Superman. I think he suffered from bad writing.
I agree.
That he has nothing to do with.
I don't think any of it was his fault. I don't blame him for any of it.
So when he got canned, I was like, you know what? A new writer giving him better material, you would have been like blown away by this Superman. We're never going to see that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I am not completely sold on David Morthwait yet. Not completely. Okay. He's got weird face stuff. And it's such a minimal thing. It's such a minimal thing. But he's got weird face stuff. And eventually, I already know I will stop seeing it. You know what I mean? Because it's a mere exposure kind of a thing. You know what I mean? I'll get used to it, and that won't be a thing anymore. But for right now, it's like I watch some of the trailers, and it's just like, why is his face doing that?
Yeah, I don't know. I have not warmed to him, and quite frankly, I don't like. I mean, I've seen Henry Cavill in interviews, and he seems like a cool guy. And he's a geek, and he plays Warhammer.
He's a huge gamer, yeah.
Yeah, so that's cool. I know most people think, oh my God, he's like a goddess. If I was a gay dude, he would definitely not be my type. and
spends too much time in the gym for my taste.
That's that. I mean, no, because I like Jason Momoa. I mean, shit. And I don't know if people. There's
Yeah.
people that hate, like, absolutely hate Jason Momoa, and I'm like, why? I mean,
Can anybody hate Jason Momoa?
no. I mean, like, it's one of those things where if someone said, okay, Joe, you have to do some gay stuff with somebody, it would be like him, Idris Elba. I'd have to think more about the rest of the list.
It's a pretty good list. I
Those
mean,
two,
I've never I've never taken the time to put together a gay list, but I mean, those are two pretty good picks.
Do so now.
Do so- Ben Affleck comes immediately to
There you
mind.
go.
Uh,
not my
So here's the thing with Jason Momoa.
Michael B.
Every
Jordan.
character-
Okay, we're not.
Every character he plays, even like the Game of Thrones, right? Every character he plays, it's like, yeah, that's Jason Momoa. Do you know what I mean?
You know
It's
what's-
like he's
you know
not
what's-
acting. They all
I,
seem like that's him in real life.
His first major role was on Baywatch, which was like 25 years ago. And it was before he grew his hair long. It was before he had bulked up. You watch his Baywatch episodes, and it's almost like a completely different person. Like the body type is different. He's a lot younger. He doesn't have the facial hair. It's like, oh, you have to look at him for a second, and he didn't even have the tattoos yet. He's like a completely different person. But you look, and you're like, oh shit, that's Jason Momoa. But once you figure out that it's him, like once you sort of dial into it, it's the same thing. It's like, he's just Jason Momoa.
It's just Jason Momoa.
It's the character is basically the same as the other character.
He doesn't act. They just hand him a script and they're like, "Go be you."
Yeah, but
And
see,
he's
I
just
just,
like,
yeah, but so it's De Niro, right? I mean, that's what De Niro is every time. He's just him.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you're right.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
personality is pretty much the same.
No, don't get me wrong, Joe. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a very Jason Momoa thing. Even
I
when
watched-
he did Game of Thrones, when he was Khal Drogo, he didn't have to. He just grunted, and it was just like that's just Jason Momoa.
I watched.
One of my favorite actors is Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, he pretty much plays the same character in every.
Same guy. Well, I mean,
He's motherfucking good though.
I think to a certain degree, versatility is overrated by some people. I mean, not that it's not a good thing. And it's, I mean,
Right.
there are some actors who are like chameleons and it's like they're completely different in every role and they're good, but that's not the only kind of good acting that there is. I mean, there are also actors who are basically the same type in every movie, but I mean, like Gene Hackman, he wasn't, I mean, usually he played within a fairly established range,
Not
but he was great in
everybody could
everything.
Not everybody could be as versatile as William Shatner.
Exactly.
And
He's
again,
different in every single role.
people hire Gene Hackman for that, though, right? That's what they want. That you're great at we need a character like that, and you're that. So do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
That's
why
there's types. That's why Hollywood has types.
Well, and
want
on
a
the
Gene
flip
Hackman
side,
type.
to the type of the really super versatile chameleon type people that you're talking about, like the two that come to mind for me, Gary Oldman and Sam Rockwell.
Oh, sure. And Sam Rockwell is an underrated one because, yeah, but he's
Gary
good.
Oldman, absolutely. Oh my God.
Especially since Gary Oldman went through that phase in his career where like every single role he was wearing some kind of crazy prosthetic.
Yeah.
And it's like you couldn't even tell it was him at
Sam.
first. Like, who's Gary Oldman this time?
I didn't know he was British till he had been on the scene for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Because he was always doing like.
You're gonna find out that he's black.
That's the secret he's keeping.
And speaking of which, in this guy, he was versatile, not as versatile as those two guys, but he was a great character actor that just died a couple of weeks ago. Harris Yulin.
Oh my God, yes, great actor.
So Harris
Such
Yulin,
a great actor.
Played the judge in Ghostbusters 2. He played the national security advisor in Patriot Games.
Yes.
And
for Star Trek fans,
Clear and Present Danger. Sorry.
and for
Right,
Star
okay,
Trek
okay, okay.
fans, for Star Trek fans, he was the Cardassian guy in the Deep Space Nine episode Duet. He
Which
was the
I
guy
think is-
that
I think is
Kira had that. Yeah.
Easily the best episode of the first season.
Oh
Like,
my God,
by far,
easily.
it's not even close.
And his performance is just astounding.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I actually been watching like every week. I'll go back and just watch his stuff because it just blows me away. The emotional range that he carried there, and what he brought to the character. And I looked a few weeks ago. I looked like a day or two before he died. I'm like, oh, cool, he's still alive. Maybe he'll do some some appearances, and I can go tell him what.
You jinxed it.
You jinxed it.
Right?
You killed him. He reminds me actually
Joe, don't ever ask if I'm still alive. I will let you know.
Just assume. Don't say anything. Don't jinx the perfect game, Joe.
It's definitely my fault that let me see, how old was he again? That the 87-year-old guy died.
You talk about you know what happened. He was pitching a no-hitter, and then you mentioned it, and he blew it like the next day.
It's amazing how many people actually believe that has an impact.
He does a thing in that Deep Space Nine episode right at the end when the final turn comes, and it turns out that he's actually okay for real this time. Now he's actually not the guy that he says he was. He's like the clerk who worked at the concentration camp, and he goes from like his tough guy Cardassian war criminal act into like his real self, and he's sort of recounting his memories, and he starts to cry and has this really vulnerable moment. And that's such a quick turn for an actor to take, and such a broad emotional swing for an actor to take, but he nails it. Like, he makes it work. And I can't imagine how difficult that must be. It reminds me of one of my favorite actors, Lee J. Cobb, who played the juror who wound up being like the last holdout in 12 Angry Men, in the original movie version of 12 Angry Men. And he has a similar swing in that, where he goes from like being a determined, like, no, I'm voting guilty and you'll never change my mind. And then within the space of like a minute, he has completely swung around and had an emotional breakdown and relented and agreed to vote not guilty. And it's like, so much happens in such a tiny space of time. And it's all on the actor to convince you of it.
You got to pull it together.
Nails it. Yeah. And he absolutely nails it. That's just what Harris Yulin did.
So
in that Deep
back
Space
to
Nine
Superman.
Episode. Yes. Superman. Sorry. We veered off.
So,
yeah. Superman.
Right. So I was watching one of the trailers.
Yeah.
And there's a buildup in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, bam, 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 bam. And I was like,
it's the John Williams fanfare. Yeah.
Lost it. But then I was like earlier today, I was bouncing around YouTube and everybody lost it. There's like a million videos about that. About that. Bam, 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 bam.
There's, I mean, it's that's Superman's music. Like that's the Superman theme song. I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. First of all, I will say I'm super excited for the new movie. I haven't seen it yet, so I mean, it could still suck. I don't know, but I'm cautiously optimistic. I have faith in everybody involved in it.
I believe July 11th.
Yeah, I got my ticket. I got my ticket already. I got my ticket for that and for Fantastic Four. Yeah, but like when they reused the John Williams music for Superman Returns, after I saw the movie, I got it, because Superman Returns was framed as a continuation of the Christopher Reeve series. Like they're basically telling you it's different actors, but these are the same characters from the Christopher Reeve movies. So using the music kind of made sense, because that's what they were going for. They're like, this is a sequel, to those movies. But with this one, it's a clean break. Like it's a whole new version of the character. And I mean, if they're just using the John Williams music like for the marketing, if it's just in the trailer, but then the actual score in the movie will be different, But it's entirely possible that I'll see the movie and the John Williams music will be all through it, and I'll love it, right? But there is something about because like earlier today I watched Star Trek 6, and because we're reviewing Star Trek 6 on me and Jason's movie podcast this weekend, and one of the things I've always loved about Star Trek 6, among the many things I love about Star Trek 6, is that the musical score for that is almost completely original. there's almost no familiar Star Trek fanfares in it at all. There's like twice at the very end, you hear the the dun da 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 da, like, and that's it. Everything else is original music composed by Cliff Idleman, the composer for that movie, and it's one of the best scores, I think, of any of the Star Trek movies. It's just beautiful. And one of the things that's great about it is it doesn't lean on familiar stuff. It's not just playing music that you've heard before, so you'll go, ooh. It's new.
Trailer,
And I kind of hope that the Superman movie is the same way. Give me
the,
give me a new Superman.
trailer music, the trailer music, I don't want to say leans on, it borrows, like, because it isn't the John Williams.
It's not exactly, it's
right?
not the same arrangement, but
It's
yeah.
Very similar. It leans on it, it borrows from it. It's meant to be reminiscent, but it's still its own thing. And I don't know if it's enough of its own thing to call it its own thing. And from what I understand, it will be in the movie. But that just could be my misunderstanding. So we'll have to wait and see.
Depends on how they do it, because you think about the Star Wars, stuff. At least the first 6 movies, where there's certain things, like there's the Force theme, there's the Empire, there's the Imperial March, there's Leia's theme, there's Luke's theme, there's certain things that are always kind of are through lines, but there's still a lot of original music to go with it, and I think Williams did that, because he created those themes on purpose to be, for these characters. I think he did it in a way that created a lot. There's still plenty of original stuff. It just, there's enough there that it invokes the emotion it's looking for without overwhelming the whole score. Now, to your point, Steve, about Star Trek stuff, and you think about it, like Star Trek 2, the score is very different.
Yes, and great. That's another one of my favorites, the score from Star Trek 2.
And the other one is a big favorite of mine is First Contact.
Oh God, yes. First Contact is gorgeous. Especially the main title theme. Yeah.
The main title theme brings me to tears.
Literally. It's beautiful. It's too beautiful for a Star Trek movie. I remember watching it when I saw First Contact in the theater for the first time, and I'm sitting in the theater, and this just gorgeous music is just washing over you before the movie's even started. I'm like, they wrote this for a Star Trek movie?
I have to go back and re-experience that.
It's so beautiful. And that's Jerry Goldsmith, who of course had scored a bunch of Star Trek movies before. And instead of just coming out with the familiar, what they used for the TNG theme, which he also wrote, the Star Trek the Motion Picture music, he said, no, I'm going to write a completely new main title, and it's going to be even better than that other one.
Yeah, the main title has some elements, very few, with some elements of the original Star Trek score.
Yeah,
from the TV show, but then it goes in straight, and so it starts off like, hey, this is Star Trek. And then it says, but we're doing some new shit now. So it goes on to that. And then my favorite part of all the music in that movie is during the First Contact scene when the Vulcans land, because he does the same. That's the same title score, like the main line, 3 different times at different tempos, and one of them is like very with a lot of staccato and a lot of syncopation. And then one that's very, very slow and flowy, and then there's one and that one that one's very emotional because it's very slow and it just kind of draws you, and then it lifts up and so it takes you this whole range of emotion in that one scene, and I'm just like, I'm here. I sometimes will play that part over and over, or sometimes there's a section from 3 minutes to 5 minutes and 40 seconds that I will play that section over and over.
Oh yeah.
And I keep thinking that I might actually be neurodivergent.
No, I don't know if I get stuck on fragments of music scores sometimes too, or that's I just want to hear it over and over. There's a segment in the Superman Returns score. It's built around the Superman and Lois love theme that John Williams wrote. for the first Christopher Reeve movie that they play during Superman and Lois's flight when they're flying around, and it's the da 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 da. It's that theme. And in John Ottman's Superman Returns score, there's that scene in Superman Returns where Superman and Lois fly around the city, and it's sort of meant to remind you of when they did it in the first movie, but the circumstances are different and the characters are both in different places in their lives. And Superman has been away for a long time and Lois has moved on, except in her heart, she really hasn't, but they can't do anything about it. And the score just keeps teasing at that theme, and it doesn't actually go into it until one time it finally just goes through and plays the whole theme straight through, like one time. And I don't care how many times I've seen that movie or listened to that score, it gets me every single time.
I was watching a guy on YouTube this morning. It was this morning. He talks about like different pieces of music, theme songs, usually for movies, soundtrack stuff, and he plays it and tells the viewers why this piece of music is so special, or what about like these notes and these chords and these keys or whatever that is such a big deal. And he was comparing the Superman theme from the original and the new movie and the Henry Cavill Superman. And he was talking about the similarities and the differences. And then all of a sudden he says, he stops and he goes, wait. And then he goes on the piano, and it was the Avengers theme. He goes, huh, everything is the Avengers. And then he just goes right back talking about the Superman thing. And it was just like, this was hilarious.
Yeah. And that Avengers theme is great too.
Yes.
Like, I mean, the sort of hero theme for the Avengers, that Alan Silvestri wrote that.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a good, I'm like, good job, dude. Because Alan, by the time he wrote the score for that, he's been around forever. And it's like, you just pull that out of your ass, like fucking 30 years into your career.
That's like that's a very emotion evoking song also.
Sure.
That's the kind of thing I don't know. I wouldn't say I cried, but it kind of like, when I hear that at the movies and it's on, I'm like, oh God.
Sure. Well, speaking about what you mentioned a minute ago, Joe, about the First Contact theme and how it's like, it's almost too good for a Star Trek movie. The score for The Batman by Michael Giacchino, who also wrote the music for the newer Star Trek movies, which is also just fucking amazing. But Michael Giacchino wrote the score for The Batman, and there's sections of that are so beautiful. I'm like, this is for a Batman movie? Like, seriously? You're coming with this? Like, it's just so beautiful. And there are parts of that movie that are just stunningly beautiful.
Which
like
movie?
the first
I
time,
got distracted.
Yeah.
Which movie?
The Batman, the one that came out like 4 years ago, with Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
There are scenes for
number 2, by the way.
I saw that he just finished the script. And by the way, leave the guy alone. Let him take as long as he wants to finish his goddamn script. Like, people are like jumping on, like, why hasn't he? When's the next movie coming out? He hasn't even finished the script. I'm like,
Marvel's already put out a dozen movies.
Yeah, it's like, and I think James Gunn, who not only wrote and directed the Superman movie coming out, but he's like sort of the head honcho of the DC movies now.
Yeah, he's the
had
DC
to go on
Feige. Yeah.
The DC Feige, yeah. He went on social media and told people, get off his nuts. Let him take as long. He's like, I'm his boss. I'm in charge of these movies. I say, let him take as long as he wants to write the script. Leave him alone. And yeah, he just now apparently he just finally turned it in.
Yeah, it's a sequel to the Batman. I don't know how much I like that though.
Oh, I love the Batman. I love the
Batman. There
Batman.
are elements of the Batman I absolutely loved.
I
Penguin,
loved it, and
Penguin is fucking amazing. The Penguin series on HBO was fucking amazing.
I thought it was great.
I wasn't really thrilled about the Riddler.
Yeah,
I thought the Riddler was all right.
I haven't seen it because I don't like Robert Pattinson.
Oh, he's so good. Yeah. He is so good. I mean, what I love about him as Batman is that he doesn't do a lot of the same things that Batman actors have done since Michael Keaton. Like everybody since Michael Keaton kind of set a tone, and everybody who has played Batman in live action has kind of done, and even, I mean, Kevin Conroy even did his own variation of this on the animated series. Like everybody's kind of done their take on that. And Pattinson just like Pattinson doesn't have a Batman voice. You know, he doesn't talk like this when he's Batman. You know, I mean, he doesn't talk, he talks a little lower, he whispers a little more, but it's not like he's playing a character when he's Batman. He's just Batman. And he's Batman in the movie a lot. Like he's in the costume as Batman way more than you see him as Bruce Wayne, which is another kind of interesting reversal, because you get the feeling with the other actors, it's like let's put as much Bruce stuff in this as possible, you know,
Right,
so that
right.
the guy doesn't have to be in the suit.
With this version of Batman, Bruce Wayne is the alter ego.
You kind of get that feeling, yeah.
Yeah.
And you get the feeling with like he's not interested in being Bruce.
Right.
Like there's that scene early on where Alfred like comes down into like this movie's version of the Batcave and basically has to drag him upstairs to do Bruce stuff. Like he's like, I don't want to do Bruce stuff. I want to do Batman stuff.
The thing is with him though, I don't know. And you've seen the movie, so you know you can tell me how I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't seem to have the physicality for it. He just always seemed to me to be like kind of a flypaper kind of guy.
I mean, I think he bulked up a little. He's physically plausible. He's not like an Incredible Hulk or anything, but he's physically plausible.
He's not like a Batfleck.
No, he's not like exactly. Affleck is made like a big Batman because he's kind of jacked now. But
Christopher Reeve. Not only was Christopher Reeve strong, but he was also, and even beyond the muscles, he's a large man.
He's a big dude.
Oh man. So was Val Kilmer. And certainly so was
Adam West.
Oh, was it
Adam West?
That's
Adam
true.
West.
Adam West was a big guy,
he was a large man, but he wasn't muscular. He wasn't like strong. Yeah. He was just a large man.
Yeah.
And what's his name? The one with in Heath Ledger. I call it the
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yeah.
Christian Bale.
And he got that physicality. And I don't know, like Robert Pattinson always looked to me like he'd blow over in a strong wind.
He bulked up for the role.
Yeah, he bulked up. And I mean, there's things in that movie that I just love. I love the relationship between Batman and Commissioner Gordon, or I guess Detective Gordon at that point. He's not commissioner yet, but Jim Gordon. And Jeffrey Wright is Gordon, and he's just so goddamn good. And like he calls Batman man, which I just love. Like he's just a dude. Like there's a scene where Batman, they're talking something about the case, and Batman says something to Gordon, and Gordon says, "I don't even know who you are, man." And I'm like, I just can't believe that Jim Gordon talks to Batman like they're just a couple of bros. And he's like, "Come on, man." And it's Jeffrey Wright with that voice. It's just amazing.
You do a very good Jeffrey Wright. No,
thank you.
I love Jeffrey Wright. He's fantastic.
He's so good. Did you see American Fiction?
No.
You should see, if you like Jeffrey Wright, you should watch it. He is fucking good.
He was amazing in Angels in America.
Yeah.
He was absolutely amazing in that.
Oh, he's been great in everything. Basquiat, I think, was the first big movie he did. Westworld. He was only in it for a couple episodes, but this last season of The Last of Us, I kept waiting for because I saw Jeffrey Wright was in the preview, and I was like, and I kept watching, and I really enjoyed the most recent season of The Last of Us. I'm not complaining, but like every time I would watch an episode of it and Jeffrey Wright wasn't in it, I'd be a little disappointed. Yeah. I'd be like, "Where's Jeffrey Wright? I saw him in the preview. I know he's in this." And then he finally shows up, and he's awesome, and I'm like, God, I could just watch this motherfucker all day. But so he's great in it as Gordon, and yeah, I mean, the score is beautiful. There's a scene in it where, and I won't go into too many details in case Joe decides to watch it at some point. I don't want to spoil it, but
I don't want to spoil it. I don't care.
There's a scene where there's like a natural disaster in Gotham City. There's like a flood, and a bunch of people are gathered in. Yeah,
it's a natural disaster.
It's a terrorist attack. It's a terrorist attack. The Riddler does it. He blows up the levees and it floods. But and a bunch of people are seeking refuge in like the Gotham version of Madison Square Garden. and Batman's up in the rafters, like fighting the Riddler's henchmen and whatever. And um, a bunch of, and like the building caves in, and there's a bunch of people kind of, huddled in the water underneath some wreckage. And there's like an electrical thing that's going to fall in the water. And so Batman sees that this is about to happen, and he does something really heroic, and he like jumps, onto the thing and cuts it with his knife so that it won't electrocute people and it falls. And then he goes through the water and he lights a flare, and he like pushes some of the wreckage aside, and he basically leads all of the people that have been huddled there out to safety. And there's this overhead shot of Batman with the torch, like leading the people out. And the music is just nailing it. And it's just one of the most beautiful things, one of the most beautiful visuals I've ever seen in a superhero movie. And it's the kind of thing I as a lifelong Batman fan, it's the kind of thing I never thought I would ever see in a Batman movie. And it just floored me. And I was like, holy shit, this is so much better than I thought it was going to be. So I don't know. I mean, it is yet another Batman, after a lot of different Batmans, and it is long. Like, it's a long movie. But I highly recommend it. I thought it was just about perfect by the time I was done with it.
Nice.
Yeah. And Batman even apologizes. I always make a big deal about this when I talk about it with people. There's a scene where Batman and Catwoman are talking about something. Batman makes an accusation to Catwoman. He accuses her because he basically insinuates that like she slept with somebody, that like she fucked somebody, and that's why she's mad, or that's why she holds a grudge against somebody. And then it turns out that that's not the case at all. It's something completely different. And the next time Batman and Catwoman have a scene together, Batman says, "I'm sorry for what I said." And I'm like, holy shit, Batman apologized for saying something out of line. Like, that's another thing. Like, I'd never seen that before, where Batman was like, what I said before was fucked up. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry.
He wanted to hit that.
Well, that's true, sure. And he never did he? He never did.
No, he didn't.
Because she left town. She was like, I gotta go. Sorry. You want this, you gotta come out of town with me.
Well, and that's good that he didn't, because I'll tell you what. One of the things that I like the most about Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
yeah,
is that Gamora did not end up with Star-Lord.
With Star-Lord, yeah. I think we've talked about this before, and I agree. I really like that too.
And I think I talked with you about this, Steve, about the whole idea of going into the past and trying to change things, but you have a familiarity with people that they don't have, and that's going to impact how you have the relationship. And that's really what happened to him, right? He's like, oh, lovey-dovey. Oh, but she's like, I don't know who you are.
It's a completely different person. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
like she's who you met, but she's not who you last saw.
Exactly.
And you form that bond based on experiences you went through together, and you went through them. But
it's true. You want a relationship with this person that you feel like you may have earned, right, by your shared experiences, but this isn't the same one.
Right.
You
had those experiences.
You're not entitled to that love.
And it comes out as this bittersweet thing at the end.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, sometimes it's okay to not get what you want. Like, it's okay. Like, it's good for the story, and it's good for like real people living their lives. Get used to the fact that sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, you're not going to get what you want, and you have to be okay with that. And that's okay.
And sometimes it's not okay to create a computer generated version of the person that you have an infatuation with.
It's really not.
Well, and this is why, like, as much as I like the movie, one thing I didn't like about Back to School, because otherwise I think I consider it like one of the best comedies ever.
Yeah.
But like Terry Farrell, gorgeous ass Terry Farrell, falls in love with this geek who barely talks to her, and there's zero reason, like, they didn't have any great shared experiences that she was like, oh wow, he's more than this geeky guy. He's actually got these other traits that I adore. he's smart and he did one cool thing, and then she's a lot like, no, that's no. It's fucking possible.
That's not how this works.
Isn't that kind of a thing is really meant to give geeky guys that don't have a chance with anybody to give them a boner and give
Yeah.
them? Isn't that what that's about?
That's what it's for. But the problem is, you think about where we are now with the manosphere. It's movies, it's things like that is creating
Yeah.
a sense of
Yes.
entitlement.
But I
And-
mean, at least there was some effort put forward. I mean, at least at least he did. Maybe he didn't. He did something. He
Right,
wasn't just sitting there. Why doesn't she suck my dick? It's like he would.
And that's a good point, because these guys in the manosphere, they haven't even done as much as Jason in that movie, right? They just like
No, they don't do anything, and they're like entitled. Like, why don't I have the most beautiful girlfriend in the world?
That just sounds as though the implication is she's sucking everybody else's dick.
Well, Oh, okay. I want to share. I want to share this joke with you too. I hope you will appreciate it as much as I did. So, and I'm stealing this from Seth Meyers. Seth Meyers told this joke on one of his late night shows a couple weeks ago. So recently, it was Kenny G's 69th birthday, and when Kenny G turned 69, what that means is, for one night, the saxophone blows him at the same time.
Boo.
I love that fucking joke. I don't care.
Now, I have a joke that I absolutely love, and it's not dirty at all. It's about Sesame Street.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay. So somebody had asked, who's your favorite TV vampire? And I'm like, oh, the Count from Sesame, or the one from Sesame Street. Oh, he doesn't count. I assure you, he does.
It's a great joke. I've heard that before. That's a great joke.
Well, I got a dirty one. I'm sure you've heard regarding the Muppets.
Okay.
It's like, how does it go? It's like, what's green and smells like Miss Piggy? Kermit's finger.
I knew it was Kermit something, but yeah. Hey, Fozzie. he like shoves his finger in his face. Oh, Kermit.
I can picture that. Oh god. So I'm just, while we're talking here, I'm just looking at, I haven't looked at ancestry updates in a while, and I'm getting something interesting that both on Ancestry and 23andMe is
you're related to everyone?
I'm pretty much. I mean, but
that would be interesting.
But what's cool is that they're getting more and more specific as time goes on.
Yes.
And they're actually converging. They're actually because like if for a while they were like similar, but there's a lot of differences, a lot of discrepancies, and they've actually pointed out like basically where my great grandmother came from and my great grandfather were like right fucking here is right where we expected, and it's like exactly there. So it's like the Zemplin mountain regions, which is like eastern Slovakia, western Ukraine, and the area is, so it's like, oh, I'm not, it didn't say what country it is, but basically she's just south of Austria and Hungary. There's this little section that was part of Hungary at the time, and so because the story was my great grandmother came from Vienna. She didn't come from Vienna, it turns out, but very close to Vienna.
Part of the Holy Roman Empire.
Well, no, well, she was born after the Holy Roman Empire dissolved, but yes, certainly part of that.
Of the Holy Roman Empire, I bring it up every chance I get because it wasn't holy.
It wasn't Roman.
And it wasn't an empire.
What's the most confusing name we could give to our region here? What could we call it that'll just fuck people up for generations to come?
I mean, it's just like, the People's Republic of Korea, right?
The Democratic Democratic People's Republic of Korea. All of that is wrong except for Korea.
Okay. So, oh yeah, well, that's why anytime someone says that, like, when they'll say something about like a country that was communist or socialist, they what was in the name. I'm like, yeah. So then you tells me you think that East Germany and North Korea were democratic, right?
Exactly.
And okay, I look at so it was Slovenia. So basically, where she was from
Ah,
was Slovenia, and both of them are agreeing. They have it a very tight, very small area, and that's really cool.
yeah.
Also, it turns out because she's getting more matches in Ukraine and all this other stuff. So whatever she is, I'm that too. So I'm like, cool. So I have even more reason to stand up for Ukraine
Yeah.
because I
You're a
I
man of
probably
the world.
You've got
and
family there apparently.
probably and
Yeah.
well the other thing too, like there's on there's one called My Heritage. It's not as
Yeah.
popular as the other two, but what's kind of cool about My Heritage is that when you look at your matches, it'll put a flag of whatever country that person is from, so you get an idea of where your matches are, and you can actually filter by country and everything. And I'm seeing people in places that I don't see any direct ancestry, so that means that wherever I'm from, that they are people had traveled there. But I'm seeing people in France and in Spain, in Israel. Israel, I kind of expected, um, but all over the place. And I'm like, shit, I got relatives fucking everywhere, you know. And on one thing that shows up on my mom's on Ancestry is because we're part Roma, and it's showing up as like it varies, but sometimes it'll show up as like Middle East, basically Arab. Sometimes it shows
Yeah.
up as Persian, and currently it shows up as Bengali Indian because basically the Roma people started in India and
Yeah.
worked their way up. So I'm like, I am the world.
That's cool.
You are the world. You
You're
are
I,
the
the
melting
people.
pot.
I am.
You are the children.
Yeah, I actually my cousin Herman's even more so because he's got indigenous Americans and he's also he's like Puerto Rican and Cuban, so he's got Hispanic as
Wow.
well, plus the indigenous. So he's got even more shit. He's got everything I have plus.
It's Puerto Rican.
So between the two of you, you've just about got it covered.
Pretty much. I mean, the only thing we are is like Far East Asians, like we're not
Yeah.
Vietnamese or Chinese or Korean or anything. So I was like, so it's the same. If he ever has children with an East Asian woman,
There you go.
we got the whole fucking planet
The hat
covered.
trick. You've run the table.
Yeah.
or that person has run the table.
That's right.
Whenever
So
they're born. Yeah.
somebody who can't be racist against any, or can't be racist against anybody, but everybody in the world can be racist against them.
Exactly.
Damn Slovenians.
God damn it. You can't say that.
Well, what's interesting is when because Suzanne has ever since Trump got elected the first time, she's always like, we need an escape hatch just in case things get as bad as I can imagine they could be.
Yeah.
And so she was looking at because depending on your ancestry, where you're from, if you can prove your ancestry, you can get citizenship.
Yeah.
Or at least it's easier to get, or at least easier to get a resident visa.
There's like a pretense for it. You're not just showing up at the door going, "Let me in." Yeah.
Exactly. And so one of them, which would have been good about 15 years ago, is Hungarian, and basically,
Yeah.
but it's unfortunately ever since Orban.
not really an option these days.
The other thing too, is you have to for Hungarian, because the thing is, if you get the thing, you don't actually have to live there. You just want to get there because it's a Schengen zone country. So if you get the passport, then you can go anywhere you want in the Schengen zone countries without limits. But you also have to be able to learn and speak Hungarian. And I looked at it for like a day and like, oh, no fucking way.
This ain't happening.
It's because it's a Finno-Ugric language. And basically the languages that are similar to it are like Finnish. And then there's some language in the middle of fucking Russia, like literally, and you know how big Russia is. It's in the middle, and it's like this little enclave of people that speak this Finno-Ugric language. And then 1,500 miles before you get to the next people that speak anything even remotely the same.
Wow. And it's one of those languages where the letters all have a bunch of little marks above them. And you're like, what does this even mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's not even the same alphabet.
None of the and they use the same alphabet as us, but half the letters are not pronounced the same way. And they have word prefixes and word suffixes. So word endings and word beginnings,
it's really
depending on the
complicated.
context. And it's like, oh, no way.
What would be acceptable proof? Like, how would you prove? Because I know Italy has that too. There's something, and I mean, my grandfather was born in Italy. So How would I prove that though?
Well, I mean, there's records, right? There's birth records, there's all stuff like that. So it's not that hard,
Well, it would be there. I mean, you know,
right? I mean, it might be a little tough if he. Well, when was your grandfather born? Roughly before the war or after the war?
before the war.
That might be difficult only because the records might have been destroyed. So that might be a problem. But like for me, see, my great grandmother came here, and we know where she's. And well, I have a on the census record from 1920. It has where she's from and her native language. So she spoke Magyar, which is the Hungarian language. What's interesting is we were always told that she came from wealthy people, and I looked up the name because it's von Hubner, and I looked it up, and apparently it's a made up name, not by her, but during the Austro-Hungarian Empire, even though it was supposed to be an empire of equals, the Austrians were kind of a little more equal than the Hungarians. So a lot of Hungarians changed their, especially if you not so much on the lower end of society, but the middle and upper level society would change their names to something more dramatic so they could fit in better. And I found a Graf von Hubner he could be her grandfather, and he had a son that's just about the right age. And based on the stories, I'm like, holy shit, because I was thinking the idea was she came because von is that's one of the things that you're basically from nobility. So
Right.
like, oh, that might actually be true. So if I can show that, it's like, well, they'll definitely like, hey, And the
Yeah.
thing is,
I'm kind of a big deal.
yeah. Well, what's interesting about Hungary is that even though some, like Slovenia is a separate country now, so that's where she was probably born in Slovenia, because that was at once Hungary, they still accept that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that includes a whole bunch of countries that were basically, invented when the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which includes like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia.
Yeah. Oh, that whole region used
Yeah.
to be way more consolidated than it is. Yeah.
And I think even parts of Croatia and like Romania was part of Hungary too. So there's you could basically be from anywhere, any of those places, as long as you can prove you're from there, that your ancestors were from there. But again, not exactly a place
Yeah.
I want right
Not right now.
I don't know. I would like to be able to go to Italy if I needed to jam. I'm just not sure how I could prove that
Yeah.
I have Italian ancestry.
Well,
I do, but
so the 1940 and the 1950 censuses are available. So if you could find your grandfather on a census and it says where his country of origin is, that would help.
Mhm.
he should have access to that.
Yeah. So
She does all that stuff.
yeah. So it might be possible.
Oh, I'm sure it's possible. You just have to know where to look. You just have to know,
Yeah.
What
And that's why
documentation you need.
I hope I don't need it.
Yeah, of all
Yeah.
the genealogy sites, like if you just want to know, okay, what's my ethnicity? 23andMe is just as good as Ancestry, or nearly so. But if you actually want to look shit up, Ancestry is the way to go.
Yeah, it's what Peach uses. She has years and years of research on her family through Ancestry.
Yeah, there's way more information, and the tools are better.
Yeah, she did a lot of looking into my family. I have all kinds of stuff. Like she uncovered that I am related through adoption to Debbie Harry. She's in my family tree.
Oh, cool.
That's
Yeah,
very
she
neat.
was adopted, so she's not a blood relative, but yeah, she's in my
Yeah.
family tree.
That's very cool. I like that. Well, I actually found when my great grandfather and his mother and siblings came over, I actually found the shipping manifest, like the passenger list, and when they came over. And so I didn't know. I thought maybe they came over because the father had died. Turns out he came over before them, and I actually found records on him as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool, and that was pretty common. A man would go ahead, try to get some work and earn some money, and then bring the rest of the family over.
Yeah. That still happens.
and the time that they came over, I've come to the realization that I found that family name on a Jewish ancestry list, because they were like, well, at the time German Jews, but it's Poland now where they're from, and I found the same two family names from the same city they were from. It wasn't them, but almost certainly relatives of theirs that were deported during one of the pogroms. So my guess is my ancestors were like, well, they're kicking the shit out of us again. Let's get the fuck out of here
Time to go.
while we get to move on in our own power. Yeah, so that's why they came.
Wow.
So we've had no viewers. Oh my God.
We've just been hanging out.
That's fine. This is like the least watched stream I think I've ever done. But I mean, I kind of get it. There's a lot of big news in the drama section of YouTube. Before I came on the air, I found out that Shani and Rev, if you're familiar with those folks, those YouTubers,
Shani.
got into a fight while they were streaming. They got into a fight live about Rev apparently looking at porn and finding a woman attractive that's not Shani. And yeah. Shani, are you familiar with Shani, Steve?
I've heard the name. I can't say that
She's,
am that
what they
familiar.
call a lolcow. They both are. There's just somebody that the internet in general has deemed to be worthy of a lot of attention and ridicule. Fine with that. I think these two individuals, this couple, they bring a lot of it on themselves.
Yeah.
Like they ask for it. They really do.
They're kind of like messy in public, sort of.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. But she is very heavy. Her weight is something that is the focus of a lot of the derision. And it's like, I mean, I make one-off comments about like former Governor Christie. I make one-off comments about, this person, that person, whatever. Is it the main focus of like why I talk about people? No, my mom was heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so much of the drama around them has nothing to do with her weight, but everybody makes it about her weight.
Yeah.
And first couple of jokes might be funny. After a while, it's just like, oh, would you come the fuck out?
Yeah. Okay.
There's
Move on. Move on to something else.
So much. I mean, like, okay, she does this one thing where she'll eat in front of her other half, Rev, and not let him eat. That to me, you can go after that.
Yeah,
but
not
let him eat.
Poor guy. Yeah, no, she won't let him eat.
What is he handcuffed? Like, what? Why, if he's hungry, why don't he eat?
No, he'll sit there and look at her like, "Please feed me." Like,
I kind of feel like that's on him.
If he wants,
like, unless she's like got the fridge padlocked or something, like, go get yourself a sandwich, dude. If you're hungry,
I call him 2-bite.
Ain't nobody gonna not let me eat.
I call him 2-bite Rev because that's all he usually gets is 2 bites. I mean that's fair, I think. But like, there's some people that'll talk about, her arms flat. Yeah, she's heavy. Leave her alone.
Get over it. Yeah, get over it.
Yeah, right. I'm like, get over it. I mean, she won't let Rev eat. She takes food out of his hands, which she does on camera.
That's weird.
That's like, oh, come on, let the guy have a sandwich for fuck's sake.
I would not. Yeah, I mean, I would not fight with my significant other on camera under any circumstances. Like, I would just end the stream and say, okay, we have some shit we need to talk about. We'll see you later. But like, I mean, but I would.
She's crying. She's like,
yeah.
Do you not love me? It's just like,
that's not a public conversation. Like, that's. But if somebody was taking food away from me and I was, then that would be a fight. Like, that would be, no, don't you ever, I mean, unless if it's like a playful thing and we're both kind of in on it, like, that's different. But
They're,
if
they're
I'm
very
like sitting
poor.
there, if I'm trying to eat my fucking dinner and you won't let me,
They're
like
very
that's a
poor.
fight. That's a
Neither
fight.
one of them works. Neither one of them
Yeah,
works. They use streaming as their revenue source,
sure.
where they'll ask people to send us food. And she had a couple of kids that lived with them. There was the whole family. I think there's three kids. I think two
Okay.
cats and the two of them. And then she would go on and she'd go foods into the mic, and people would send food. They would have like DoorDash or whatever, and they would
Yeah.
get food delivered. And on camera, she would like somebody had sent a sandwich. I don't was think it was a cheesesteak, I think it was, and it came with a note. Right, they had it delivered, and it came with a note that it was for the kids because nobody ever sees the kids eat.
Hmm.
And she sat on camera, read the note, and then just started like talking like we're talking, and she ate the fucking sandwich.
I mean,
And it's like, teach kids, teach kids.
I
You know,
mean, that's really fucked up, but also that's kind of funny. Like to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna eat it right here in front of you, and there ain't a goddamn thing you can do about it.
Because you were stupid enough
But
to send it to me, and
you were stupid enough to send me. I don't. Yeah, but I
well,
don't. I
here's
mean,
the
I
thing: is
guess.
people would send them food and send them money, like they would have enough income through the streams and stuff to
Yeah.
keep them at a certain level where they would always be able to stream.
Hmm.
So, like the trolls were like feeding them enough money to keep them on the air.
Yeah, I've heard of other people in that situation. I'm just
Right. So it's just like I'm
I'm
gonna
glad that
pay.
that's
Hey,
not
I'm gonna
me.
give you money. I'm gonna give you enough money to keep you on the air so I can continue to pick on you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
man, that's really fucked. But
It's
that's what
deeply fucked. Yeah.
it's been happening for years with these folks.
Yeah.
I mean, she lost her kids. The kids were taken away because Rev apparently had physically
Because she
abused
ate
them.
all of their cheesesteaks. She wouldn't let them
Um,
have any food.
I wish that was the reason.
Yeah.
But it's because Rev actually physically abused them, kicked one of them or something like that.
Oh,
And the kids were
Jesus.
taken away. It's just a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. But like every time they do something, everybody they fire up their cameras and they get on and they spend
Yeah.
4 or 5 hours talking about, did you see Shanny eat another cake? And it's just like, oh God, there's
Uh,
so much more to
sorry,
talk
no, I
about.
was busy. I didn't have time
Yeah,
to watch Shani
my
eat a
God.
cake. I
There's
had shit to do.
it's like when people make up shit about Trump. Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't
Yeah.
need to make shit up.
Yeah,
There's
just stick to
plenty
the
there.
true shit. There's
You know,
plenty there. Exactly.
you don't have to talk about the flapping arms. We all know that
Yeah.
Jetty has them. You don't have to talk about those for a half hour, 45 minutes.
There's
There's so
deeper
many other
issues at
things.
play here.
There's-
well, I say the same thing to Europeans when they start dumping on the U.S. I'm like, when they just make up
yeah,
shit. So I'm like, look, there's so many legitimate things to gig us for.
Yeah.
You don't have
Exactly.
to make shit
same,
up. Just
same fucking thing.
stick to
Yeah.
Same
the
fucking
real shit. There's endless amounts of real shit that you'll say about us, and I'll go, yup, or I hate that too, or whatever. But to just like kind of pile on, it's like,
I was watching the goddamn podcast tonight. Octopus was streaming, and while he was streaming, Shanny and Rev broke out into their fight on their stream. So he said, "Oh shit!" So he switches over to broadcast their stream so he
Right.
could talk over it and pick on them. And I'm sitting here, and she's love me, and I'm just there, oh my god. It's like, I'm going to stream in a half an hour. I'm going to have no viewers. I was right. It's nobody here.
You
and,
know.
and one thing it shows you though, as much as because people will complain about people like that, oh, they're so terrible, but yet they'll tune in to
They flock to it. They
Yeah.
flock to it. It's always been the case, right? Drama sells. It's always been the
Oh,
case.
absolutely.
We all, back in the day, used to make videos decrying the drama. And then everybody would flock to the drama when it shows up.
Yeah.
Well, I
They
mean,
love it.
it's a freak show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
And
it's a freak show.
there's a number of times I didn't make video because I was all motivated to make a video, and then some new drama would break out, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, there it goes. That's
Fuck
yeah.
it.
So I'm actually going to I may finish it tonight. I am working on a video I've been working on now for about 2 months. I actually wrote it didn't take a whole lot. I wrote a Declaration of Independence that would be um, relevant today.
Hmm.
And honestly, I didn't have to change a whole lot. Um,
Yeah.
I just had to drop Trump's name in there a couple of times. A couple of the lists of grievances, a couple of them had to be removed. A couple of them had to be just tweaked, change a
Yeah.
word or two. But for the most part, it stays remarkably the same. Some of the grievances are exactly the same. Like, he's shipped us in some cases to overseas for, imprisonment. And it's just like, yep,
Yep.
let's don't have to change that one.
He's
Um,
literally doing King George shit.
yep, yep. And it's amazing. But anyway, so I had a few people do, like read parts of it. So like it's
Yeah.
me, Zonstar, and Peach. And I'm just like been trying to figure out what I should do for the video of it.
Mm.
So I've just got like footage of some of the protests. I've got pictures of like the founding fathers
Yeah.
and the founding documents and zooming in, and
Yeah.
it's boring, I think, to look at, but it should be pretty cool to listen to.
I was going to say, if it's mostly about the text, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's a new declaration is going to be the video title. I expect to be arrested shortly after. But we'll see. If there's no stream next week,
Oh,
I
she must have
was,
released that Declaration of Independence video. That's what happened there.
I was just,
check and see if I'm on Facebook. Yeah, but if not,
oh, I was just looking. This is something just that's funny related to my ancestry that you'll get a little chuckle anyway.
what you got?
So I was just looking. I looked at my mom's. I just looked at mine. Actually, mine is now saying 0.5% Bengali Indian and 2% indigenous, which I didn't expect that.
Hmm.
But so the for me for this the Hungarian bit, so it's saying Eastern Carpathian Upper Tisa River Basin and the Eastern Slovak Flat. That first one is the Carpathian Mountains, and it goes into Moldova. So I could be the scourge of Carpathia and the sorrow of Moldavia.
That's great. My friend, I bid you welcome.
well, I can compete with Vigo,
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yes, that's true.
scourge of Carpathia. Yes,
So you'll have to somehow find a way to incarnate your spirit into a baby.
yeah, and do magic and all that shit. But
Yeah, all that shit.
I'm working on it. But my favorite is because Peter McNichol is like steals that whole movie. He's amazing.
Oh my god. Oh, it's
And,
Vigo.
And then when the second time he sees Vigo, it's like the scourge of Carpathia, the sorrow of Moldavia. He goes, yes, this scourge. I've heard this all before.
He's so great.
Here's a Star Trek meme. It's showing Zephyr Cochrane talking to Riker. He says, "How did you solve the fuel problem to get off Earth?" And Riker says, "We figured out how to use misogyny as a fuel source. Then we shoved J.K. Rowling into a tube." She was so full of it that she kept burning out relays, but it worked long enough for us to discover the lithium. Then we threw her into the sun.
And that's why Star Trek's future is so nice.
You know, she's so fucking hateful, and
Yeah.
and the worst of it is not only is she hateful because that's bad enough, right? But this victim complex, like trans women are stealing something from cis
Yeah.
women or something. Like,
Yeah.
are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and especially
It's
like in
very-
her case, where she is like one of the most successful people of any gender on the entire planet. And this idea that she's, some poor persecuted person.
It's
When
been a
like fucking
successful strategy.
well, that's I mean like fucking HBO is making a TV series out of Harry Potter when it's already had a massively successful film series. Like the fact that she's a transphobic asshole hasn't affected her career at all, and yet somehow, you know, she's still beating this dead horse.
Yeah.
Which I'm sorry, that's a weird fucking hobby to have. Beating dead horses.
It's yeah, just leave the dead horse alone.
You would think, right?
Just bury it, or you know, or eat it. Do something with it. Don't just beat on it. That's something a crazy person does.
Hmm.
Well,
Energy is used by
I am
many other people, and it's been successful. So
yeah, I am going to head out now. It is
yeah.
past my bedtime. But
Oh,
this has been a great time.
it was
I've had a
fun.
great night. So
Yeah.
it's been a
Dun,
lot
dun,
of
dun,
fun.
dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
There you go. I'll hear it in my sleep.
Yeah, I
Actually,
mean,
I hear it already because I mean I said part of me being in a Superman mood lately is I've rewatched all of the Christopher Reeve Supermans
Oh,
within the
nice.
last
even the ones you don't like.
week or so. All of them. Actually, I'm doing a video about Superman 4. I'm shooting it tomorrow, which is the worst one, but
Yes.
it's also like a really interesting one in a lot of ways. So I'm doing a video about that. But yeah, I have a soft spot for all of them, especially now that Chris is dead. You know, it's like oh, but I felt that way even after when he had his accident, but was still alive. I suddenly had just great tenderness for Superman 3 and Superman 4. I was like, oh, he's never going to play Superman again. And like now it's like even though they're not good movies, it's like this is
That's
we can't make any more of this. You know, like this is it.
And
Yeah.
of course, Chris Rock had a great riff about that. Superman can't walk. So what's gonna happen next? Aquaman gonna drown in the tub.
There's a random Chris Rock bit. I don't think it's from that same special. It's not from where he told that joke, but it might be. It's the same time period. It was from the mid '90s when Chris Rock was just coming out with like a fucking banger stand-up special like every year for a while. But it's the bit he did. It might have been in Bring the Pain. I can't remember. But he's talking about how like medical science has cures for everything except being blind. And he's like, if you're blind, we can't do nothing for you. The best we can do if you're blind is here, let a dog drag your blind ass around.
Yes,
There's people that can see who can't handle a dog.
that's actually the same riff.
Is it the same one?
About like if you can't walk, what we got for you is here's his chair, just roll your ass around. And then he goes into the whole Superman thing.
I just love that. I've always loved that line. There's people who can see that can't handle a dog.
Yeah, he said, give him a CNI man.
Yeah.
Give a little person a job.
Oh, and that reminds me. I'll mention this and then I'll go. It reminds me of another joke that of all people Gallagher told. Gallagher did have one or two decent jokes in amidst all of the dumb shit that he did, but he was talking about this program that he heard about. It was a charity that wanted to do something nice for blind people who never had a chance to hunt. And he said, the bit was, he says, how do you hide from a blind person with a gun? How do you make a sound that ain't like a rabbit? So anyway, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I gotta get going too.
Yeah. All right.
But it's been good, great.
So we're gonna shut down. We're gonna shut down
Okay.
now, right?
Okay.
So good night, everybody who's not watching. Thanks for not watching, and
Or any future viewers.
any future viewers. Maybe
Thanks for
we'll see
finding
you
the
next
show.
time.
See
Good night,
you.
everybody. Good night, Steve.
good
Thanks for
night.
coming on. Good night,
Yep.
Joe.
Anytime.
Talk to you later.
Yep.
See you.